And we're live.
Hello.
Evening
Uh,
all.
Hello there. This is unprofessional of me. I have a matter to attend to on the bog, so I will be back in a few minutes.
Hobbit, you say you're going for a comfort break.
Yes, I'm going to use the restroom, as our colonial chums would say.
Oh dear. So that's the start to our show. We know what Hobbit's ablutions are going to be.
I've just got yeah. All right. I'm just getting used to Brave. Right. Yeah. I'm here. I don't have to go to the toilet at the moment. No, I might have to do later on.
So what have we got here? Do you want to do some stories from unexplained mysteries to start?
Yeah, I'm just a bit. I've just installed a new program, so I've got that sort of. I've just installed a new program anxiety. Yeah, I'll be all right in a minute.
I think so. It's the new phone thing, where you don't talk to anybody for about 3 days while you're figuring out how to work the phone and stuff.
No, I'll be all right in a minute. It's a bit stressful, isn't it? No, this is great. Yeah, right. Yeah, tech support.
Yeah, we haven't had tech support for a while, apart from when we needed a bit the other night because my internet kept shitting out. So tonight, rather than D Live and YouTube, I've just gone for YouTube tonight.
Yeah, God, just Oh, I feel great. I had a great day. A great sort of great day. Everyone was really happy and smiling. There was a great sense of community, and everyone thanks the bus driver when they get off the bus. Just really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about the Russian firm that will freeze your brain when you die, or do you want to talk about the family that have been haunted by a creepy talking Elsa doll?
Oh, on that first point, did you read that thing about Jeffrey Epstein wanted to freeze his penis and he wanted to freeze his head and his penis, and he wanted to spread his DNA over the whole world by impregnating 20 women at a time? Yeah, I read that the other day.
Isn't it broke? Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Woke. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Bespoke. Jeffrey Epstein is still alive.
He's still alive. Did you guys see the video where, a few days after they said, "Oh, look, there he is. He's been killed in his cell," and
he was water skiing with Prince Andrew or something, was he?
Well, there was.
Or did he go to a Pizza Express near Winchester?
The drone flying overhead in his island shows him sat in a golf cart talking to his black security guard, and they both look up at the drone. They know it's there flying.
Yeah, people that rich don't commit suicide in a sleazy jail cell. No,
I think there was someone. It might have been a Red Ice Radio or one of those shows, maybe even Freeman show, where it was a guy who survived being abused as a child, and he was describing all the outrageous things they do, like the costumes they'd wear. And he said, because he joined up the Satanists until he realized that they were doing child abuse. And he said, "I'm going to tell the world about this." And it's go ahead. No one will believe you.
Yeah.
So they didn't even care about being exposed, because they're just it's so outlandish that most normies, probably most normies to this day, won't accept that Jimmy Savile was raping children.
That's what I've been thinking about people like Prince Andrew and that. He supposedly named and shamed in public, but he doesn't give a fuck, does he? I mean, he's not going to lose his job, is he? And have to live and work at McDonald's. They don't give a fuck, these people, do they?
Well, the only thing you really have to worry about is being called a racist, because that's the only way you're going to lose your job as a young person, isn't it?
He's effectively got the equivalent of paid leave, because they're still going to pay him. I mean, all aristocracy get a stipend from the from the crown, I should say, and it's just he doesn't have to do any public appearances now.
Yeah. The only punishment is being married to that Fergie, isn't it? I don't know if he still is. I don't know.
And there are worse punishments available.
God.
You could be married to Meghan Markle.
Oh my God! Yeah, Jesus. If that's not a communist agent, I don't know what is. You know, like. God.
I've got a headache. How are you guys?
I'm all right, mate.
I feel like I'm on Valium, but I'm not. But...
Well, Tuesday night, I had 2 pints of speckled hen and no dinner, and so I fucking puked my ring up on Wednesday morning. But I've recovered from that, and I'm feeling all right now.
Yeah. Last time I was sick, I threw up through my nose.
Oh, that's not good.
Which I don't want to do that again. Nah. Oh, sorry, Albert. Go on.
No, that is not an experience you want. I left a voice message on another of the Telegram groups, and they were just saying "Okay, boomer" to me. I got upset because I'm like, I'm not a boomer.
We all like your voice messages, Hobbit.
So do I. That's why I leave them.
Yeah, and you need to sort those window wipers out.
Well, yeah. The one thing I can do is basically lift them off 1 inch from the windscreen, and then let them go back, and apparently that will adjust tension. Because apart from that, I can't think what else to do. I mean, the angle is dead on 90 degrees, so it's not digging into it, and it's not. In fact, if anything, if it was like off at one angle, it'd be smooth going one way and then like dragging the other.
And this week's car chat is brought to you by Top Gear magazine, available in WH Smith's and Sainsbury's probably.
When are we getting sponsored by Halfords?
Halfords. I did try Halfords, but all I could get was Top Gear magazine because they're desperate for any kind of publicity. Since Clarkson
is
left.
there like a 5% off of the 10W40 semi-synthetic oil?
I don't know what you need some.
Well, 10W40 is good for any sort of vehicle, isn't it? It's just.
Oh no, I was talking to a mechanic the other day. And apparently, you have to use if you don't use the right oil, you clog your diesel filter up. So I assume that's only for like older vehicles that really matters. For newer vehicles, that really matters.
Yeah, well, you can use slightly runnier oil like a 5W30 or a 10W30, but the 40 oils, whether it's 10 or 5, the 14.
Like, did you say the 14 oils? I bet.
Yeah, the 10W14 oils. So it's your general purpose engine oil, and it's been around for donkey's yonks. So
do you want to know about this? Do you want to know about this family that were haunted by a creepy talking Elsa doll?
Can I first just ask, like, why aren't you all driving based 1970s Land Rovers?
Who says I'm not? For all you know, I might be driving a Triumph Spitfire.
Based Triumph Stag.
The Mark II one with the killer suspension, where you so much as turn and it will just flip over.
I thought that was the Suzuki Summit that used to do that, weren't it?
Well, there's probably more than one car what does that thing, but
yeah, 4x4s are quite notorious for it, aren't they?
Oh, the high centre of gravity. I said I was going to promote this in another channel, so I'm going to. I've actually
found a couple of British. If you look at that thing I put in the chat, if you look down the side, that link I put in the chat, there's a FOIA request that's revealed Bradford UFO sightings, and there's a ghost photographed in a historic. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So if you look at the creepy Elsa doll story, and down the right hand side, it's got those two stories. So we could do the creepy Elsa and then the other two.
I'm quite happy to just talk about cars a bit more. I don't know anything about haunted cars though, or like, this guy got into the stamping machine and this stole it.
I can actually drag this round to a Fortean story. Aren't cars with 666 in the number plate supposed to be really unlucky? They like crash more than normal cars or something.
Yeah,
there's a lot car with a 777 on it when I was in the supermarket.
Yeah,
an hour ago.
I saw it, didn't it? 666 number plates are issued predominantly in Scotland. So yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
because they don't want the Scots to live much longer.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
But there's also I've got another Fortean car story. It's you know, James Dean's car. Was it a Ford? What's the really GT50 or something? I can't remember what it was. I'll have to have a look. It's called the Little Bastard, and it was like really. I think it was the one he died in. But apparently, it was being transported from one place to the other and disappeared.
Don Dockin in the chat says Honda drives a Hobbit Civic. There we go.
Yeah, Hobbit Civic.
I quite like the Hobbit Civic. I'm sure it's a fine car. I don't know much about them. I know that the Honda CB125, or is it a CJ125? It's a really reliable bike, and if it wasn't so wet and miserable, I would be riding it.
Here you go, Hobbit. Read that one out. That should sort your car fix out.
Oh, okay.
Put in the side.
James Dean's haunted little bastard Porsche 550. Is it Porsche or Porsche? Because I've always
Porsche, because we're in England.
Porsche. Oh, okay.
Although you'd probably say Porsche.
Or maybe I'd say Berger. So, Halloween's a good time to tell some scary stories. The scariest car story out there is the story of James Dean's little bastard, the Porsche 550, in which his ticket was eternally punched on September the 30th, 1950. No, this is wrong.
His canal was pushed, was
It's... All right, whoever did this needs to be flogged. It's the 30th of September, 1955. You don't put the month before the day. Fucking spastics. Anyway, it leaves behind a trail of wreckage much longer than just Dean himself. The story begins on the 23rd of September 1955. Again, with these just wrong.
Yeah, bloody yank.
Yeah, that is annoying. Yeah.
I can tell that headache's going to subside gently away, and I'm going to be calm and relaxed as I read the story. Anyway, on the 23rd of September 1955, a week before Dean's fatal crash, he purchased a Porsche. He purchased a Ford 550 Spider.
You got your own false teeth in, Hobbit, or you put somewhere else?
550 Spider, and he bought it to a customizer, a legendary filmmaker, George Barris, to have it personalised.
Flimflammer. Not
Yeah.
filmmaker, it's Flimflammer.
Oh, Flimflammer.
Yeah, he's a Flimflammer.
Right. What legendary Flimflammer? Right. Okay. Yeah. Like, we're just going to pretend that's a real thing. Next, you're saying, "Oh yes, I'm just going to the haberdashery shop." So he chose tartan seats, the number 130 blazoned on the hood, and the name "Little Bastard" painted just under the Porsche emblem on the engine cover. Monkey Mobile.
Monkey Mobile. That's. Do you remember the Monkeys? You know, hey, with the monkeys. That's the monk. They had a car called the Monkey Mobile.
The boy band.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, typeface builder Dean Jeffries did the lettering. On the 23rd of September 1955, while driving a car around Los Angeles, he met up with English actor Alec Guinness outside a restaurant. He showed the deeply superstitious Guinness the new Porsche. In Guinness's unpublished diaries and letters, he wrote, the sports car looks sinister to me, exhausted, hungry, feeling a little ill-tempered in spite of Dean's kindness. I heard myself saying in the voice I could hardly recognise as my own, please never get in it. If you see, even the dog agreed. If you get in that car, you'll be found dead in it by this time next week. Dean laughed like this. Ha 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 ha. A week later, on the 30th of September, Dean and Rolf Wulfreich, a former Luftwaffe pilot and factory-trained Porsche mechanic, were at Competition Motors in Hollywood preparing the Little Bastard for racing that weekend at Salinas. How many more times are they going to say the car's name? The intent was for Dean to trailer the car to Salinas behind his 1955 Ford Country Squire, along with photographer and stuntman Bill Hickman, stunt coordinator on the movie Bullet, most famously. Fucking hell. Like no. You put it's most famously on the movie Bullet, not most famously afterwards. You can watch the video. But the car needed so maybe I should do like once I get like de-radicalized by Hope Not Hate, I can get a job as an editor. But the car needed some braking miles on it, and Witherish suggested driving the car to Salinas not only to break in the engine, but that so Dean can familiarise himself with the car he just purchased. Witherish went along for the ride. The group left a coffee shop across from Competition Motors at 1:15, half past 3. California Highway Patrolman O.V. Hunter stopped Dean and wrote him a ticket just outside of Bakersfield for driving 65 in a 55 zone.
Oh, what a rebel. Blimey.
I know.
A whole 65 miles an hour. Whoa. What a speed demon.
Just outside Bakersfield. I'm wondering, well, it's on the highway, so yeah, twats. No one should be doing 55, especially not on the American distances. Hickman got a ticket for 20 miles an hour over his speed limit because he was towing a trailer, which meant his maximum speed should have been 45 miles an hour. So similar rules to the highway code here.
At least they got freedom of speech. They can go 55 miles on a highway.
Yeah, and you know they got that Second Amendment, so they can have their their free shotgun in the back seat in a locker with the ammunition in the separate locked container. At Blackwell's Corner on Route 466, the caravan stopped for drinks and met up with Lance Reventlow and Bruce Kessler, also competing in the Salinas Road races in Reventlow's Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Coupe. Nice car. At approximately 5:15, Dean and Hickman drove west towards Paso Robles. A half hour later, a black and white 1950...
They could have just, done the facts, couldn't they? This is like... and at approximately...
It's very wordy.
And at approximately 6:52 and 3 seconds, Dean went for a shit.
I was just going to say it, and then at 6:15, he wiped his ass. So we're up to Ford Tudor Coupe, which was black
Dean
and
white.
Hickman
Hickman drove west towards Paso Robles, I think is where we were.
Yeah, it was very important detail that the black and white 1950 Ford Tudor Coupe. I mean, if you haven't mentioned that was black and white. But anyway, they're headed east on Route 466, driven by a 23-year-old Cal Poly student with the unlucky name of Donald Turnipseed. They don't give his date of birth. But anyway,
Donald Blumpseed.
Yeah, so Turnipseed made a left on Route 41. Oh, sorry, this is American. Route 41! As he crossed the centre line, Dean, who was estimated to be travelling at 85 miles an hour, tried to avoid the Ford, and the two cars met head-on. The Ford Coupe slid 39 feet down Route 466 in the westbound lane. Soon afterwards, an unconscious and dying Dean was placed into an ambulance.
That car was fucked, weren't it? You see the picture of the car?
It's probably a write-off. Witherish, who had been thrown from the Spider, was lying on the shoulder of the road next to Little Bastard, was transported in the same ambulance to Paso Robles War Memorial Hospital, almost 30 miles away. Dean was pronounced dead on arrival at 6:20 p.m. Turnipseed walked away with a scratch on his nose. There's some photographs of the car. That is wrecked.
James Dean. Sorry.
There's more. There's quite a significant bit more. So I'm just
because there's loads of stuff that happened after it took his life as well. There's loads of really bad luck.
I was just going to say James Dean had a death wish because he used to pay rent boys to stub cigarettes out on his chest.
All he had to do was live a few decades longer, and he could have got grids. George Barris purchased the wrecked Porsche for $2,500 with the likely intent to sell tickets to look at it, and transported the car back to his shop. The car slipped off at the trailer and broke the leg of a mechanic. Barris sold the engine and drivetrain, also known as a gearbox for people not in bumwipe ticker, the colonies. Yeah, to Troy McHenry and William Esch.
Does everyone have to have a really weird name in this? Is that part of the story?
It's Kabbalah, isn't it?
It was a mistake.
Yeah, I bet you could get some good numbers out of those names, couldn't you?
It's Eschride. The two use parts to build cars of their own, and were racing against each other with those parts in place. Henry lost control and slammed into a tree, the impact killing him instantly. Eschride was driving his car, and the wheels suddenly locked up for no apparent reason, sending the car rolling over in a turn.
I don't know. I'd probably think it was folded in half. If you look at the fucking state of that car, would you really want any parts off of that?
No. It
looks like the Hulk screwed it up and threw it in a bin.
Can I say I have some familiarity with gearboxes, and one seizing up for no apparent reason, and like 6 months later it's like, it's not working, and I get it back and I look at it and it's like nothing looks wrong and they just seized up. When you're dealing with lots and lots of gears, and if you've been in a bad write-off like that, then yeah, I would just scrap the gearbox. I wouldn't even bother trying to recover it.
There was probably something floating in there, wasn't there, to be fair?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Porsche, I know that the gear teeth don't touch each other exactly. They use the viscosity of the oil because it's hydraulic fluid, and all fluids are hydraulic. Fluids cannot be compressed, and that's why you can use hydraulics to move gears, but you have to have very well-engineered gearboxes to do that, which Porsche do. And that doesn't work if you had a knock to them. So anyway,
that's a bit more than a knock. That's like folded in half.
Yeah. They'll probably just like, hey, these people, James Dean died in suspicious circumstances. Let's take bits from his car. That'd be a good idea. But so the story gets better. 2 tires from the Little Bastard were in Barris's garage. Untouched since the accident, they claimed Dean's life. He sold the tires, and both of them exploded simultaneously.
Again, they probably got scored in the accident or something, didn't they?
Well, he was going 55 miles an hour and ended up.
He was at 85. I think he was.
Oh, right,
80. I think he was doing 80.
But even so, that you got 2 tires explode simultaneously, which caused the driver to run off the road. I mean, the chances of 2 blowouts simultaneously is just like, I don't know what the odds of that are, but astronomical comes to mind.
Yeah.
So in a piece that appeared in Jalopnik, the curse apparently continued even further. Due to all the incidents involving Little Bastard, Barris decided to hide the cars, but convinced by the California Highway Patrol to lend the cursed heap to a highway safety exhibit. The first exhibit was unsuccessful as the garage that housed the car caught fire and burned to the ground. Mysteriously, the car suffered virtually no damage from the fire. The next exhibition at the local high school ended abruptly when the car fell off its display and broke a nearby student's hip. Later, George Barcuis was hauling the wreckage of the Spider on a flatbed truck and was killed instantly when the Porsche fell on him as he was thrown from his truck in an accident. Mishap after mishap continued until 1960 when the twisted debris was on a loan to a safety exhibit in Miami. Following the exhibit, the wreckage and the truck were hauling it mysteriously vanished off the way back to Los Angeles. Neither have been seen since. So, yeah. What had gone on in the Porsche factory when that car was being built?
Yeah, it's a bit of a... I wonder if that was the inspiration for Stephen King's Christine.
I mean, maybe like one of those lampshades or like piles of ashes that mysteriously happened to all those unfortunate souls during that time we don't talk about. Maybe they just ended up getting rolled into the pressed steel parts, and just like suddenly you've got a bolt and it's got like a little bit of dust from some human remains, and it's just like, I'm putting a curse on you. Yeah.
It sounds like you pissed off the wrong sort of Anton Uve type, doesn't it? James Dean, yeah.
That's what
I mean, I thought it was pretty suspicious when Bruce Lee dies in suspicious circumstances, and his son Brandon Lee dies in a firing accident in The Crow.
Yeah,
filming The Crow. But I mean, that is just like every part of that car is from hell. The rubber was extracted from Mordor. And the gearbox should have been a write-off.
Yeah, I think the gearbox. I don't think that was part of the curse. I think that was just a bit of stupidity.
I mean, I look at stuff like that, and I'm just thinking bits of that should be melted down and turned into knives, and then it would have ended up in the streets of London.
So, do you want to hear about the family that have been left terrified by an Elsa doll that seems to have a mind of its own?
Before we do that, someone else can read the story because my speech isn't working too good today.
Go find your own false teeth and put them in Hobbit. You'll be much better than me.
Yeah, you know, and I'm just if my pension will extend to it because I'm such a boomer.
But, yeah, what's all this bashing boomers? You should respect your elders.
Yeah, if any of the 53 subscribers, hang on, how many subscribers are in that channel? That I mean, if any of the 208 members of Cammy's Harem are here listening to the show today, first of all, hello, and secondly, respect your elders. We laid our lives down for you.
You'll all be boomers one day.
Yeah, you'll be taking reverse mortgages out on your retirement condo in the Bahamas or something. Back in my day.
Right, so
just before we leave the boomer question, I mean, who are these like critics of the boomers? They're all just like fucking virgin basement
Strauss Howe.
You know?
That's who started it. and they are indeed the usual suspects.
It's like wait till your balls drop, and then you can start criticising people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, snot-nosed kids know it all anyway, don't you?
Yeah. They need a good thrashing.
Right, I'll leave the creepy Elsa doll, since you lot don't want to talk about it. We'll talk about the FOIA request revealed Bradford UFO sightings.
Dolls really scare me, so I'd rather not talk about.
It's
dolls.
Even worse because it's a Disney doll, so you know it's got black magic in it.
Oh yeah, but
So apparently this doll I'll skip through this one. So it says not only has a habit of talking when turned off, but also often talks in different languages, despite being the English version of the toy. We would move the buttons to different positions, and she only spoke or sang in English, said Madonia. Recently, she only spoke Spanish, regardless of the button position. On top of this, they're struggling to get rid of the doll. To recap, for those who have not been following our Elsa doll saga, Matt threw it away 3 weeks ago and found it inside a wooden bench. We were weirded out and had tightly wrapped in its own rubbish bag and put that rubbish bag inside another rubbish bag filled with other rubbish. Then we put it at the bottom of our rubbish bin underneath a bunch of other bags of rubbish and wheeled it to the curb, and it was collected on rubbish day. We went out of town, forgot about it. Today Aurelia says, "Mum, I saw the Elsa doll again in the backyard." Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a cottage industry, these haunted dolls. Don't they all sell them on eBay and that? Yeah. I'm dubious about it.
I've got a positive.
Aren't second-hand mirrors supposed to be a bad thing to buy?
Yeah, well, I suppose that makes sense. I mean, someone else's soul's imprinted on them, but
yeah.
I had a statue of Madonna with child.
Was that Madonna with the big boobies? That's a joke. That's a joke for all the Zoomers out there.
Yeah.
That's an low joke, Hobbit, in case you didn't get it.
Oh, I watched that show the other day, and it's not as good as what I remembered. I mean, I like all the innuendo in it, but now I'm just thinking, yeah, this is just subversion.
Do you follow Madonna with the big boobies?
Oh, by the way, my mate, his name begins with the letter M. He sent me a joke today. Yeah. I want to read it out because it made me laugh. And so he says in this joke, right? He says, did I tell you about the 4x2 I had in the erection that walked into a bar? He broke his nose.
That's bad.
But anyway, this Madonna and child went missing for years, and then it turned up at my place of work. It was just in the packaging. A customer returned it not the Madonna and Child. The customer returned like an item to the work, and it was there in the packaging, and it's like, I recognise that Madonna and Child. That was the one that used to be in the house, and it's like, yeah, and it's here, and it's exactly the same one because it's got that same bit where the arm's been chipped off. And so we were talking with the customer, and they said they knew nothing about it. And they just said, no, literally all we did was just put the machine in the box with some packing. Anything else that's happened, and it's like, all right, so that's been on an adventure, and that ended up in a customer's home or in a box, but they never saw it. So it ended up in some packing material. And I'm just there scratching my head. I don't know where that, I know where that is. It's on my windowsill now. It used to be on my windowsill on my old house.
Oh, that's weird.
What's found its way into a complete stranger's packing?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know how it ended up in the stranger, because it's not like we're in the habit of, putting in religious icons with our items at work. And
they do a free religious icon with every stereo or something of it.
It's just, it's one of those things. It's like, oh, I got this washing machine. It was Madonna and Child in it. Yeah.
That's bloody weird. That is like, shit.
Especially seeing you work at a sex toy factory, Hobbit.
Yes. So we get a message from Mr. Usman saying, I was delighted with my project. However, I did not appreciate the religious iconography. Thou shalt make no graven images.
Oh, dear. So, do you want to talk about the FOIA request that reveals Bradford UFO sightings?
Go on, then, yeah.
I'll start in English because they go, police in Bradford, England, because there's Bradford's all over the fucking place, aren't there? Have released details of...
When's this article from? Because, the Ministry of Defence, the RAF, they declassified all UFO and USO.
This is the 10th of January this year.
Right, because it was...
But if you let me read the article, you'll find out when the sightings are from.
Okay, all right.
The reports, which were made public following a Freedom of Information Act request by the Telegraph and Argus newspaper, occurred over a period of 5 years. The first, which happened in August 2015, involved a caller who saw what was described as an exceptionally fast oblong-shaped object with 3 lights and 3 flashing blue lights. That sounds like a police car to me. The second object, which was sighted in August 2017, was said to be a triangular shape with red, blue and white lights. It was seen hovering for a time before slowly moving away. Perhaps the most interesting of all, however, was the third report was from April 2018, which described a white ball in the sky which hovered over a woman's house. Caller states she was woken up by this. The UFO is a white ball in the sky, then turns into a blue-purple ball. Report reads, seemed to turn with caller as she looked at it. Sounded like a helicopter. The UFO was over the caller's house for a while, unknown how long it was there for. Only one object seen, caller looking from the front of her house.
Yeah, they're the best UFOs. The white balls of light, I think.
Yeah, ball light.
I think definitely...
Is that St. Elmo's fire?
No, it's swamp gas. Swamp gas and Venus. If you see swamp gas, and then Venus comes in as well.
Or flocks of geese.
Flocks of geese. It's an aircraft. It's an aircraft. That's what it is.
Berkeley Welsh in the chat, he says it's a fucking drone. Yes, it's a fucking drone from outer space.
Or it's like the astral bodies of meditating Tibetan masters having a bit of a flyabout.
What if it was the astral bodies of non-corporeal entities, and they've briefly materialized in the form of ball lightning over our world to observe us? And it's like, how do they do that then? How do they incarnate in a matter body? I don't know. Let's anal probe them. How do we do that when we haven't even got an anal probe nor any physical form? Oh, I don't know, but according to their TV tropes, that's what we're supposed to do. Oh, so if the humans said we were just going to walk off a cliff, would you do that? Well, no, because I'm a non-corporeal entity. How can I walk off a cliff when I don't actually exist in any physical form?
Is that some metaphysical humour for us, Hobbit?
That is like, you know, I should be writing jokes for aliens.
Just put one in the side chat. We've got a ghost photo here.
I saw an inside UFO that was a ball, not ball lightning, but like that was a red ball.
It's ball lightning. Ball lightning's everywhere. You see it all the time. Ball lightning is the most common type of lightning.
Yeah, I did. When you said it the last time, I searched for ball lightning, and yeah, this is very sort of like sketchy evidence for ball lightning.
Does ball lightning even exist?
It's just like
that's the real psyop they're doing on us. They're calling everything ball lightning, but ball lightning doesn't even exist.
They're Tibetan masters, I think. That's my take on it. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I can't even walk outdoors without being accosted by ball lightning.
Yes.
I'm trying to go down to the shops, and it's like, oh, there's some more ball lightning crossing the path, and you know, I'm flashing my lights at it, but it doesn't acknowledge me or anything.
Oh, I pulled out some old jeans the other day and found some ball lightning in the pocket.
Yes.
You know, I was just minding my own business, having a quick half in the local, and it's just like somebody's like, ball lightning stole my pint.
That's what I love about debunkers. When like the so-called explanation sounds more ridiculous than it's actually either a ghost or a UFO.
Ball lightning is why we had Brexit. All those votes which voted to remain got eaten by the ball lightning.
Oh dear. Should we?
Ball lightning is responsible for racism.
We say that there. We'll probably have ball lightning tonight, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
What'll creep in? Or...
There'll be some ball lightning tapping on my window saying, like, don't trust
ball lightning just sounds absolutely ridiculous. It's like a type of lightning that can just like it appears and then it just like floats around and can possibly follow you. What's It just sounds absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it?
Ball lightning's responsible for grooming children and not in a sexual way, brushing their hair, causing them to have all frizzy locks.
It was ball lightning that made Jimmy Savile do it.
Can I just say, like, briefly, like, you know, I've been on about neurolinguistic programming, how we got these terms like Brexit and grooming, which doesn't actually mean what it does.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they're euphemisms for something else. And I really dislike the term grooming gangs. So it's in that case, that girl that was in Cyprus, she got gang groomed by 14 bin lids.
Did you know Alistair Crowley has seen ball lightning? I'm just looking at the Wikipedia on it.
Yeah. Was he groomed by ball lightning?
He reported witnessing what he referred to as globular electricity during a light thunderstorm on Lake Pasquini in New Hampshire in 1969. He was in a small cottage when he noticed what I can only describe as calm amazement and that dazzling globe of electric fire, apparently between 6 and 12 inches in diameter, was stationary about 6 inches below and to the right of my right knee. As I looked at it, it exploded with a sharp report, quite impossible to confuse with the continuous turmoil of the lightning, thunder or hail that lashed water and smashed wood, which was creating pandemonium outside the cottage. I felt a very slight shock in the middle of my right hand, which was closer to the globe than any other part of my body.
I'm willing to do a bit of speculation about this. So, two things I've observed is, one, you can create ball lightning in a microwave if you get, like, well, there's various like videos on YouTube.
Put a fork in there, put it on for 5 minutes, and then you'll get it.
Oh, you'll get sparks and stuff. You put a lit candle in the microwave, you get some interesting ball lightning. Other people have done it with grape skins. If you type microwave experiments into YouTube, not now because we're doing a show and you're paying attention to us, but we do it afterwards. I'm sure you'll see something. Now, the other thing I've noticed is that if you get like a hot plate, very hot, and you drop water onto it, it doesn't like stick to it and evaporate. It will bead up and it will just skate across the surface. And I'm told what's happening there is that there is a protective layer of steam insulating the bead of water from the hot surface, and that's why it skitters about. So I'm wondering if there's something with ball lightning where it's somehow a self-sustained ball of plasma.
Well, we have some experts on the matter. So there's a soliton hypothesis, whatever that is, and so Julio Rubinstein and David Finkelstein, which I'm sure we can trust 100%, and James R. Powell proposed
whenever it comes to physics and physicists, whenever they got names ending with Stein, I'm sure they're trustworthy.
Proposed that ball lightning is detached St. Elmo's fire. St. Elmo's fire rises when a sharp conductor, such as a ship's mast, amplifies the atmospheric electric field to break down. For a globe, the amplification factor is 3. A free ball of ionised air can amplify the ambient field this much by its own conductivity. When this maintains the ionisation, the ball is then a soliton in the flow of atmospheric electricity. There's a load more, but I don't really understand it. So,
yeah, no, no. I'm just saying no on that.
No. Right. So, are we going to get on with some content now? I know this is a bit of a free-form show we're doing tonight.
What are you talking about?
Well, we're doing all the bits we've missed from other episodes.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was bits we missed.
Not yet.
We've always been doing content. I mean, what you told the other viewers then is like, yeah, thanks for sticking around. It was content free up until now. Now's the bit of actual substance.
Well, that's the. Didn't we call it the warm opening? Isn't that what we decided to cut? That sounds filthy, doesn't it?
I wish I had a warm opening here, but there's boilers out. So
we could actually talk about the canal pusher for a minute.
that is paranormal?
Yeah,
because the reason I say it's paranormal
is it's in with the conspiracy theory and stuff like that, isn't it?
Oh, but he was comes from a very rich elite family, doesn't he? The old canal pusher.
Wait, he wasn't. He's not. This started from a joke that I made. Obviously, what it was basically I saw somewhere where they said they theorised he could be the canal pusher, and so I just want to make.
Yeah, but he was pushing other people's canals.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was theorising. He's a canal pusher, and he's pushing into the canals. And Thomas Sheridan in 2015 made a video about the canal pusher. Abusing bummer boys and pushing them into canal.
Puff the egg, little push. Bummer boy.
In fact, one could describe it as the last push.
So,
well, it's just I don't want to be too controversial here, but I mean, when you get like homosexuals and drugs, which was involved with this canal pusher, weird things seem to happen. Like that guy who killed that policeman during a chemsex session, and when he was nicked, he said, "Satan told me to do it." And
I could well believe that.
I think it's not a very good combination. I don't think.
I've read stories about POS parties where it sounds like they are demon possessed.
Well, let's do some actual. Let's separate Sinaga from the canal pusher, because I think this is the canal pusher.
That's him, though, isn't it? That's him.
It could well be. There's a bit on it, so we can talk about it.
Oh, do we have to say allegedly because he's still innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah. So since 2007, authorities have tragically pulled 77 dead bodies out of Manchester's canal and waterway network, many of which are young men. Are these a series of unrelated accidents, or is there something more sinister to blame? There's also 3 sevens in that. 2007 and pulled 77 dead bodies out. There's 3 sevens.
Well, just taking loads of weird drugs and having homosexual sex is going to attract demons. I mean, simple as. So, I hate to say it, but, if you do weird things are going to be attracted and weird things are going to happen. So,
yeah, but you're right, though. So, it's not that controversial. I mean, one story I was reminded of, where I think get the term boofing from, is there was, I think he was part of the US government. I can't remember his name, but he was found in a motel. He overdosed on methamphetamine, and his gay lover had pushed 2 rocks of meth up his bum. He was wearing a gag, so he vomited and choked on the vomit or overdosed on meth.
Is that that black Democrat? Is it a mayor or a politician or something? The one what they've pulled about 3 dead black bodies out of his place.
Oh yeah, because there's been like other dead gay guys turned up at his house or in hotels where he's been to.
He's a Clintonite, isn't he?
Oh, okay, yeah, but he's never been implicated for manslaughter or death by foul play or murder. But it's sort of, I'm just thinking that bloke though, he's getting fisted, he's got 2 rocks of meth up his bum, and I'm just thinking to myself, imagine talking to your 6-year-old self and just say, this might look a bit wrong, and it is, but when you grow up, you're really going to enjoy this and it's going to be good, but then you're going to die from it. I mean, you know, that would probably traumatize your child self.
Well, back to theories about the canal pusher. I mean, the canal pusher, if it could have been Sinaga, it could have been the people that fought back a bit too much on the way home or something like. Maybe he didn't give them enough drugs, so he kind of shoved them in the canal. So they were just like a little bit out of it, and they couldn't get themselves out.
But I don't see how you can drown in a canal. I mean, maybe if you can't swim.
Well, you can't get out, can you? Because the sides are too high, aren't they?
But that's the thing. I mean, most canals they're quite shallow. So the idea that you can't tread
but
water
they may be shallow, but it's like loads of silt on the bottom, isn't it? It's not actually a bottom you can stand up on.
No, it's well, that's what I'm saying. Tread water, but I'm thinking it's the fact that they're in a weakened state and they don't know their ass from their elbow, so they just end up floating face down in the muck.
Now I think about it, yeah. When I did my not survival or some survival thing, like we had to jump in the swimming pool with all our clothes on, and I thought, well, this is going to be a piece of piss. But if you actually do jump in water with your clothes on, you really are weighted down. Like that really does,
because it will take on. Not only that, when you're at the temperature of the water as well, so you're going to get hypothermia. So it's not necessarily just the being in the water that's going to kill you. It's not necessarily the depth of the water, but you've got all kinds of other environmental things like temperature of water, what's on the bottom of it, how deep it is.
But the thing is, how do they get into the canal? Like, you know, because it's like if I was like extremely pissed, I wouldn't go near the edge of a canal. You know, even if I was really pissed, I'd think that's probably not a good idea to sort of go to the edge of a canal. You know, it's like.
And yet, there's plenty of dumb people who go, "Yeah, I'm going to walk on the edge. Look at me, I'm really brave," and then you fall in and die.
Or you're pushed in by that weird.
Hey, Stephen James in the chat says Michael Barrymore's wife. I didn't know he had a wife, but there you go. Her name's Cheryl Coughlin.
Yeah,
yeah, because that fucking lad basically drowned through his arsehole, didn't he?
But he had a doorknob shoved up his arse, didn't he?
Oh, dear.
That guy at Michael Barrymore's party, yeah.
I know his pool cleaner weren't too happy because he kept finding fags in the pool, didn't he? That's a terrible joke. Can't make jokes like that.
I know. Well, not jokes. So.
He wasn't charged, was he, Michael Barry? They couldn't really charge him.
Apparently, there's. I think Channel 5 are doing a new documentary on it.
Because he tried to come back into the fold, didn't he? He tried to sort of have a remake.
He did Dancing on Ice this year, didn't he? But he fell over and broke his arm or something. Fucking shame.
It's karma, isn't it?
Yeah. My nan always said he looked like he was a mean person. He said he was quite mean. She always thought he was quite mean spirited.
But if you're gonna let one of your like party guests have a doorknob shoved up their arse, I mean, he can't have. There's a bit of dubious morals going on there, isn't it? And I don't know if he was there at the time, but yeah. But I've got loads of notes about what we've missed. We haven't.
Should we do some actual content? Should we do some actual content now?
But before we do that, can I just say, Mad Rolf Stitcher in the chat said, "Canal pushed victims are similar to shipwrecks as they are both full of dead seamen."
Oh.
Hates Peach. Reckon it was a table leg, not a doorknob.
Yeah, I read it was a doorknob, but yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's pretty nasty.
Yeah, the result was the
Either
same,
way,
wasn't
something which shouldn't be in there was in there.
it? Yeah, whether it was a doorknob or a table leg, it shouldn't have been in there.
And the thing is, I don't think the guy was actually gay.
No, he had a wife and two kids, but then again, that's no kind of guarantee to not being gay.
Yeah.
It's just extended beard.
But it's like, how does it get to a point where you say, well, yeah, I'm okay with having a table leg shoved up my ass? Yeah. You know, that's like, how does it get to that point? You know, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird conversation to have, isn't it? You want this table leg stuffed up your ass? No, I think I'll pass the meeting, thanks.
Yeah, that
Go on,
sounds
you'll be
like
alright.
a good idea. Go on, then. It'll be fun.
It's the new thing. You know, you're not going to be unhip and like, you know, everyone's doing it. You know,
all the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Jesus. This is degenerating. I think we need to do some content.
Well, I'm feeling a bit guilty because last show I may have come across as sort of like supporting Ronnie Biggs when we talked about Ronnie Biggs' Sex Pistols tracks, and I want to make it clear.
To be fair, I don't know whether you know much about the Great Train Robbery, but he was like the lesser of all of the criminals. He was like the nobody of the crew, wasn't he?
But it's just I don't condone Ronnie Biggs and train robbery because they did bash that train guard on the head with a club, and that weren't very nice. I'm not sort of like pro Ronnie Biggs, but I'd say like the Ronnie Biggs Sex Pistols tracks, they weren't really like nasty. I think they were more like a comment on how insane this world is, like where things like that can happen, like Ian Brady and Nazis on the run and all that. So it's more like, you know, I'm not saying I'm not a bit. Well, I do like Ronnie Biggs. I do like the Sex Pistols tracks he made, but it's not for like the wrong reasons. It's more for like. I don't know.
I know you're getting a bit serious.
Yeah,
bringing the mood down, man.
But I was thinking like that sort of tie or that sort of thing, like, you know, sort of like not dodgy, but sort of like edgy Sex Pistols tracks. And I think that reminded me of that Emlyn Williams book, Beyond Belief. It was first published in 1967 on the Moors murderers, and that was like the first sort of like examination of the Moors murderers. But if you actually read it, and I have read the whole thing, it's really sort of odd because it sort of like reads like a novel. It's almost like reads like a novel, and it sort of like makes the murders appealing. Yeah, it makes it sort of appealing because he concentrates on the sexual aspects of the case and sort of dominance and submission, and sort of like the dominant part are up and the ante, to sort of like, you know, going further into the sort of thing of experience. I just found it really odd. It's just a really strange sort of, you know, the way the sort of news.
It's kind of weird because they are kind of like all serial killers are kind of romanticized, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like the whole news of the world thing, where like they're supposedly like reporting on in a moralistic way about all this sleazy stuff, but at the same time they're sort of like promoting
it into your living room, aren't they?
Yeah, they're sort of promoting it, aren't they? And I think it's possible that could be designed to sort of provoke copycat crimes, because copycat crimes is a definite like thing in like criminology, like. And I wonder if these people would have done these copycat crimes if they hadn't read about it in the news of the world.
They even allowed the crossbow cannibal to name himself, didn't he? Even though he neither used the crossbow nor fucking ate anybody.
Yeah, it's just like.
I think he did. He did. Didn't he shoot one of the girls with a crossbow? He certainly didn't eat anybody, did he? I think he made that part up, didn't he?
Yeah. That's a very strange case, that is, because he obviously wanted to be really famous, didn't he? But everyone ignored him, didn't they?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be in the sort of annals of serial killer lore, does he?
Wait, is he actually a serial killer?
I know what to get Hemi for.
Because you have to kill 3 people to kill it to be a serial killer, don't you? That's why Ed Gein technically isn't a serial killer, because he didn't kill enough people.
I hear the sound of a scroll wheel rolling.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, okay. Not doing a brand endorsement here because we haven't got them, but I know that Logitech do a mouse where you can press the button and it puts this clutch on the scroll wheel, so you can have it freewheeling, and it's a nice weighted. What do I happen to that mouse? Oh, the scroll wheel stopped working. That's why I got another one. But yeah, Logitech do it, and I'm sure others do it as well. And the other thing I'm trying to find, and I can't even seem to find like information from it in discontinued products, but Logitech had a mouse with this new type of rocking switch on it, and apparently people said it was the most satisfying click they felt. And the product's been taken away from the market. I'm just wondering.
I don't remember doing an episode on Logitech.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is why I'm thinking it's going into Fortean times, right? Not only is the product been recalled, but they're trying to erase all evidence of this because people were getting so enraptured with how satisfying the click felt. All they were doing all day was just clicking. You know, like those mice which have had like electrodes put into their brain, and every time they press it, they get a dopamine hit, to the point where all they're doing is just tapping on the switch to get a dopamine hit, and they die from dehydration. Maybe it was the same people using these mice, just like all they were doing was clicking. They weren't even clicking on things. They just kept clicking with the mouse over and over again until they got repetitive strain injury or died.
Yeah, much as I hate Microsoft, Microsoft do make nice mouses.
Yeah, they do make a nice mouse, don't they?
But on this serial killer thing, there's I do recommend that Beyond Belief by what's his name?
Is it just about the Moors murders then? Is it?
Yeah, it's like the first book on it, really. But it's written in a very sort of like mind control-y sort of way. When you read it and you think like, well, what the fuck is he trying to do? Because he's making like the sexual abuse of children seem almost appealing, or it's just very odd because it's like there's another book like that by Joan Paintsell called The Beast of Jersey that was first published in 1972, and she was the wife of Ted Paintsell, who was like a notorious sex offender who sort of like was roaming the Jersey between 1960 and 1971, and he'd dress up in this like weird rubber mask with like nail-studded wristlets and things, and it's just like you read this book, you read this book, and it's almost like he makes it like he's doing it like it makes it like appealing. It makes you want to do it. It's just really
Ted Bundy's almost like a romantic figure, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just like because they all get like once they get banged up, they get like loads of crazy women writing to them who want to marry them, don't they? It's just it's a very strange psychological thing going on there. But
I think their crime should be their punishment. I think they should have to spend the wedding night alone with the Ripper, with a fully stocked set of kitchen drawers and toolbox.
Have you ever read the book Beyond Buggery by Michael Barrymore? That's from Hate Speech in the chat.
Oh dear.
But could these serial killers? If they're mind-controlled serial killers, could the whole point of it be like the serial killer is mind-controlled to do these crimes, and then you get all these like lurid books about it, but the actual goal of it is to create more serial killers by these like lurid books that like
is the goal to make serial killing seem like a real phenomenon, so then they can carry on getting away with it?
Yeah, because I think there's a cult behind all this stuff. Because like when Ted Paintsell was doing this stuff on Jersey, like apparently black magic groups were like operating there, and Paintsell had a secret black magic room in his house with like a black mass toad altar and other sort of paraphernalia, and his house was called the Maison du Soleil.
I like the way they use paraphernalia, which is the same word you use for drugs, right, drugs paraphernalia.
I love the words. Yeah, it's like dabbling, isn't it? Like dabbling in the occult. Yeah. Dabbling.
Yeah, so no one ever does it. They just dabble in it, don't they? In the papers.
It's like people say Crowley was a dabbler in the occult. Well, he's more than a fucking dabbler. Like,
yeah, dabbler's just like a weekend job, isn't it?
There are certain words, and the way they use it always makes me scratch my head. And The only one that comes to mind at the moment is in fabric. There's like worst and worsted, and it really made me scratch my head because someone put down worsted in Scrabble, and I was like, "That's not a word." And it's like, "Oh yes, it is. It's a type of piping done on cloves."
Sure, they
So
weren't
there you
winding you
go.
up, Hobbit.
No, no, and then there's another term for it. It's similar to corduroy called frogging. That's like a type. It
Is that like
appears on
dogging?
military
Is that like
uniform.
dogging, but you pretend you lost your frog instead?
It appears on naval uniforms, so why not? I'm sure frogging is what I'm thinking it is. Frogging. Frogging knitting is the first thing that comes up. Safely ripping back your knitting. What is frogging and knitting? Frogging knitting hurts my heart. I put all that hard work in order to disappear with the gentle tug of the yarn.
I like a bit of corduroy.
Yeah, I like corduroy. But yeah, frogging means ripping out your stitches when you've made a mistake.
Frogging, yes.
And they say it gets its name from rip it, which sounds a bit like ribbit. So there you go. There's some textile trivia which I'm sure will be useful next time you're doing Scrabble and someone's like, "Frogging's not a word. You can't put that down." It's like, yes, I can.
Yeah, because people listen to a paranormal show to find out Scrabble words, don't they?
Hey, you'd be surprised. I'm sure there's some paranormal activity around Scrabble. When you consider the way the letters laid out on the board, I'm sure it could be. You could use it as a tarot device doing that, where you divine meanings, like you make up a story.
Well,
from
all the
words
letters are numbered, aren't they? So you could actually do some Kabbalah with it, couldn't you?
I have actually. Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have actually done that with Scrabble. Yeah.
Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised?
Because it's like the letter frequencies, isn't it?
Did you put down the letters in on the Scrabble board, or did you just have them in your own like sort of freehand? Or
no, I put them all in a bag, like because it wasn't actually Scrabble. It was like I read something about letter frequencies. That the amount of time like certain letters are used. So you have like 20 A's and like only a few Z's because they're not really used. And I put them all in a bag. I asked a question, just took each individual letter out, but all I got was a load of gobbledygook.
Did you get Jazixsky?
What's that?
Oh, Jazixsky is a Red Dwarf reference. It's like Jazixsky. You can't have Jazixsky's word. Why not?
Yes.
Well, for a start, you've used J, Q, Z, X, and W, all the high value letters. And secondly, it's not a word. It's like, yeah, this use in a sentence. It's the sound you make when you.
The only Scrabble related bit I can remember is that one from The Simpsons. Do you remember Bart the Genius? The one where Bart just chucks all the letters on there. So it comes out with Quidgy-Bow. So they go, "What's a Quidgy-Bow?" He looks at Homer and says, "It's a big North American dumb ape."
Mind you, one of those things in Scrabble, if you make somebody like consult the dictionary and you're actually right and it is a word, you get extra points awarded. So one of the things to do is trick people with words which don't sound like real words but are, and then eventually you can start putting like made up words, because then people are just like, you know what, I'm not even going to look in the dictionary, I don't want to give you extra points. So you can bluff people in Scrabble.
Yeah, if I could get back to the weirdness surrounding Ted Paintsall, like
I think it's going to be difficult tonight.
This is supposed to be a show like we're catching up on the stuff we've missed, but we're missing out on the stuff
all of the content. All the content we've done so far has been like all completely fresh, isn't it?
Well, Ted Paintsall, his ancestor, the Lady of Hamby, she built a weird chapel on top of a mysterious burial chamber called I can't explain this. Hogby, Hoguebie, Hogby. But that was situated less than half a mile from his home, and that was rebuilt in 1509 by the suspected black priest Richard Mabon, who also added a second similar chapel. And of course, Jersey, where he was doing all this black magic kiddie noncing, that was where the Halt to the Goren Children's Home was, which was frequented by Jimmy Savile in the 1970s. So there's no smoke without fire there.
Is it just all roads lead back to Jimmy Savile now?
I think so, yeah. And Jersey, I think. I think Jersey is a satanic omphalos, I think, because it's like out of the way, isn't it? You can get up to things on Jersey. And it's like, you know, the Halt to Goren Children's Home, there's still questions about that. They found all bones and stuff in those secret underground rooms, and that was all swept under the carpet, like this supposed big investigation nonsense in the government.
Speaking of loads of bones found, have you ever heard of the Sisters of Magdalene in Laundry?
Yeah.
Because apparently they found loads of bones at the back of there, didn't they?
Yeah. Loads of bones, like
baby bones, and they're all baby bones as well, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they just like killed them, didn't they? That's what they did back then, I think. Yeah. You know, they just like got rid of people, yeah, got rid of babies, yeah. Not very nice, really, to put it mildly, yeah. But I mean, that wasn't just like Christians who did it. I think like the country folk used to like, you know, if you gave birth to a spaz, you just got rid of it, you know, in the country sort of areas, yeah. Left out on the hill for the wolves. You know, it's just nature giving back.
Speaking of wolves, you're going to seg you into. Didn't you have some more? I've
got a ritual of how to become a werewolf, but I was going to get to that later when I'm more drunk. Because
all right, then.
That seems a bit silly talking about how to become a werewolf.
You get quite self-conscious then, do you?
Well, I want to be a werewolf. Really, I think. I was thinking about.
I thought you used to be.
Well, I want to be either a werewolf or a vampire, but I can't.
I just set you up. I just set you up there, Zero.
I don't know.
You used to be a werewolf.
Oh God, I can't.
But you're feeling all right? No.
But I think like vampires are gay, aren't they? I think werewolves
they seem to have turned very homosexual, don't they?
They're effeminate, aren't they? With all that like frilly collars and sort of yeah. I'm a vampire.
Unlike the proper vampires, aren't they literally just like fucking zombies? They're supposed to be literally like completely and utterly foul. Like the vampire from like the olden lore, it was literally just a shambling corpse that drank on blood. Yeah. It was like a foul thing, wasn't it?
With a hook nose and a Star of David.
Disavow winner. That's an anti-Semitic remark, I bet.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying he had the 6-pointed hexagram star, and this was like the original vampire, Dracula films from the 1920s, and it's.
You mean Dracula, the Eastern European style socialist?
I mean, if it just happens that it fills some of the stereotypical tropes of an ethnic group, then
I'll tell you what, I bet you I can find. I'm going to Google Dracula anti-Semitic.
It's pure coincidence if the
it's not. It's anti-Semitism. Here you go. Look, there's loads of stuff. Anti-Semitism in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Do you want to know how hideously anti-Semitic it is?
Get out of town! You're telling me that there's anti-Semitism in the story of a supernatural being which preys on children and drinks its blood?
I never noticed that.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like vampires have been effeminized, like. If that's a word, because like the original Dracula novel, Dracula is a real cunt. I mean, I was like, Dracula's like eating a baby or drinking the blood of a baby.
There's a baby bit. I haven't read it for quite a while. Yeah. So.
No, that's an anti-Semitic trope.
Well, he's gorging on this baby, and this peasant woman's knocking on the door saying like Dracula, and he's like eating her baby or gorging on her baby. It's like horrible, like.
No, I believe that's not a Dracula. That's called a Mohel.
Oh, apparently Dracula is. Oh, Dracula is never specifically described as Jewish. We know nothing of his background. He's ambiguous and an outsider. His presence in the novel echoes the Victorian British fear that their power would be undermined imminently. So, in portraying Dracula this way, Stoker reveals his anti-Semitic fear that the influx of Jewish immigration would disturb all semblance of order in Western Europe.
I suppose now you say it, like old Nosferatu, he has got a big nose, hasn't he? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah. I could see that, yeah. So, I've got loads of notes on fairies, but I'm a bit drunk. Someone else say something, because I'm too drunk to get into it. But
fairies?
Or fairies.
Surely you're just the right sort of drunk to be getting into the fairies now.
Well, the old fairies, like I've read, like
Black Drunk Green Fairy.
Nah. I've seen it on the shelf.
All right, who's got Telegram in the background? Hasn't muted it. It's not me.
Oy vey, I've shut it down.
Shut it all down. Yeah, me too.
Brutus with another one of his 15 different separate.
Why can't? All right, I'm just going to say it now, but I think I've told you this before, but the way he writes messages is like a breathless schoolgirl going, and then this, and then this, and then this. It's just like, mate, write in complete fucking sentences, please. You've obviously got a point there. You've got it in your head. You don't need to press enter. Use the space bar. That's what it's there for. So anyway, now I'm all calm, and that's all out in the open. We can go on to fairies.
Yeah,
I've drunk absinthe before.
Speaking of Brutus, let's get into some fairy talk.
I'd love to drink some absinthe. I've never had any, but
that's what Van Gogh cut his ear off drinking, wasn't it? He was on the absinthe when he did that.
To be fair, I think he had a couple of screws loose before then, but
they reckon it was that's all conspiracy. It was actually him and Monet had a ding dong, and they reckon Monet cut his ear off. Was it Monet or was it another one that was around at the same time? I can't remember which.
Because they were around in Amsterdam at the time, and there's canals there. He's lucky he didn't fall in the canal.
Yeah.
Actually, I have drunk absinthe once, and I got wind from drink. I got terrible wind up from drinking it.
You know the best food for wind, don't you?
I don't know. A balloon.
A kite.
Right, I had terrible wind, so I excused myself. I walked home, and I heard spectral voices coming across the fields at like 6 a.m. But I don't know. I don't know if it was the absinthe.
Oh, you said you had. That reminds me. You said you had another gnome story, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got the urinating gnome. Yeah.
Before we go on to the gnomes, just briefly on absinthe. Well, one of the ingredients of absinthe. It's not written synth, so why is it pronounced synth? It's
because we're in England, Hobbit.
Yeah, but it's not.
We're not all of dodgy European heritage like you, Hobbit.
But it's literally written ABSANTHE, so it's absinthe. Anyway,
no, I'm sure there's a. Oh, is it? Are we going into fucking Mandela territory now? The Mandela effect territory now? Are we?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've heard it pronounced absinthe, but then I've looked at it written. It's like, why is that called absinthe when it's written absinthe?
No, it's ABSINTHE, absinthe.
Yeah, so
they say it's absinthe, don't they?
Absinthe. Yeah, it's absinthe. So as I was saying, it's got wormwood in it. And wormwood
Artemisia absinthium.
Yeah, that's the one. And
together with green anise and sweet fennel,
amongst other ingredients, and it's an anti-parasitic. So
you can get it in a number of different places.
Yeah, you could. It's
hot stuff.
if it's set on fire, it is hot stuff.
I thought it was a flaming sambuca. Look, we've bored 3 of our viewers. We were on 23. We're now on 17.
Well, suffice to say, the thing. Oh, fuck's sake! It's anti-parasitic, so I'm wondering when you drunk it, perhaps you killed some worms or other nematodes. What were infesting you? Zero.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious win. I don't usually get wins.
Sorted your gut flora out. That's what it did. That's what it did, mate.
So, an interesting fact about absinthe is that absinthe started a whole new artistic movement called pointillism, because when you're at your head on absinthe, things go a bit like pixelated.
Isn't it supposed to be a bit like trippy, isn't it?
I wasn't tripping on it, but apparently that does make your vision go all pixelated, and people that create a whole new.
Wasn't it banned in England for a time?
Yeah, I don't think you could get it in England.
Oh, I can explain that. It became really popular. So there was some unscrupulous counterfeiters who are trying to. Now, the way it's done is you got like the strong alcohol and you got the various plants in there. And the essential oils and the chlorophyll give it the green color. But unscrupulous individuals are using things like copper sulfate or uranium sulfate. And it turns out when you're drinking copper or uranium, that's actually really poisonous. Who'd have thunk it, right?
Have you seen the chat? Sarah L says moonshine is greater than absinthe. And then Don Docken said white lightning.
Ball lightning, yes.
But well, there's a spirit made from cider. I think it's called Calvados or something like that.
Calvados. I've heard of Calvados.
Yeah, that's the one. And it's quite good if you're going to make a pork chops with honey and mustard. You put some Calvados in there and set it on fire. It's very dramatic and very good.
I've got a bottle of port that needs drinking at some point.
I'll help you with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these unscrupulous people were putting any old, industrial colorants into it to give it the green color, and people were dying from this. And they said, "Oh, we got to ban absinthe." So then there was a few substitutes became popular. Chartreuse, which is also green, but it's got nothing to do with absinthe. That became briefly popular. Pastis. Well, yeah, I was going to say pastis taste similar to Sambuca. They all got fennel or anise.
Speaking of lighting drinks on fire, I thought it was the flaming Sambuca's the one you set on fire, isn't it?
Well, you can set numerous drinks on fire if they've got enough alcohol in them. Yeah.
Many different drinks
with hot
stuff.
Yeah.
What you want is like a really hardcore Polish spirit, like 90% proof. Well, that's what
Spiritus.
I want. Don't mess about with the old beers and ales.
My dad keeps trying to get me to have a bottle of Jamaican rum off him because he don't want it. It's one of those that's about is about 50%. What's that really strong one that you can get from the Caribbean?
That's when I pooped up through my nose from drinking rum. Yeah, that's kind of like...
Oh dear. No, I've had spiritus before, and it's just like there's no point to it. I mean, you drink it, and it will strip, your cells from your mouth. It is like drinking paint stripper, and it's like, well, not what you expect. It's 95%.
Well, ouzo makes your mouth go funny as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's probably the numbing effect from the aniseed. I quite like that, so I'm fond of all those aniseed-based drinks. But suffice to say, for a long time, absinthe, and I'm asking one of my French acquaintances how it's pronounced. So
no, you want to ask one of your English acquaintances how it's pronounced, I bet.
Well, it comes from Switzerland, so I'm going to ask the French.
You need to ask the Swiss.
I do know a guy from Switzerland. I could ask him, but he'll probably give it the German because, well, anyway. Point being,
absinthe. You can get a number of different pronunciations. They're hot stuff.
Yeah, and with hot caramelized onions. But the thing is, it was banned and then it was unbanned. But then the UK said, "Oh yeah, the problem with absinthe isn't the alcohol content." It's the content of the essential oils from the Artemisia wormwood. So you can only have so many milligrams per litre in it. And they just did that. So in Czechoslovakia, they were making absinthe and they were just like saying, oh, it's great because it's got this much wormwood in, and they're completely missing the point because they have no cultural nor historical knowledge of what the French and Swiss absinthe makers were doing. So, but yeah, no, the French are making it again, and you can buy it in a number of places, like the Eurotunnel duty-free shop in Calais.
What were we talking about before we got?
I was just going to say, like, alcohol.
Well, you're going to talk about the gnomes, but I wanted to briefly talk about absinthe until.
What are we doing first? We're doing gnomes
briefly
or fairies?
turned into 10 minutes.
I mean, you don't have to actually drink alcohol.
You can boof it.
Because
apparently that's what
you don't have to actually.
You know the apparently the college the female college alcoholics in America, what they do is they boof the alcohol so the teachers can't smell the alcohol on their breath.
That's sort of what I was going to say, and that you don't have to actually drink alcohol. Like in the Welsh valleys, like people inject vodka up their bums because it goes straight into the bloodstream. It's supposed to be quite a sort of heavier effect sort of thing.
Yeah, because you're bypassing the hepatic portal. I looked up what that was and how like 2/3 of your gastrointestinal tract is the hepatic portal. So
from use a doorknob to do that as well.
Yeah. So from basically the top. Yeah, the top of your throat to your stomach to the top part of your rectum is all the things there will go into your liver first, and the bottom part of your rectum just goes straight into the bloodstream, and that's why there are drugs which are designed to be suppositories.
Yeah.
As they avoid getting digested by your liver and turned into other things. And that's why a lot of these things are actually pro-drugs. They don't do anything to you until your liver's processed them into the drug. You can do vodka with that, but you really shouldn't. And I'm just saying this based on the fact that if vodka hurts when you're drinking it, shoving that up your bum must really sting. So
I've never tried it.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, alcohol in that.
I don't know. Those weirdos have coffee enemas, don't they?
Well, I wouldn't.
That'd wake you up some, wouldn't it?
I don't like the idea of coffee, so coffee up the bum as well. Just like, I'm going to go.
I suppose you have to wait for it to go. I suppose you have to wait for it to cool off first.
I don't like the idea of anything up my bum, to be honest.
So if you had a coffee enema, then you'd ingest the caffeine quicker, then would you?
I've heard apparently it helps you clear out bile salts from the liver, and it stimulates secretions from your bowel. But and Sarah's saying the story about Goldschlager is that the flakes of gold in it will cut your throat, so the alcohol absorbs into the blood faster. Well, if it's cutting your throat, then you'll feel it cut your throat, and then it's not really going to work because you're just going to vomit and it's going to hurt. And secondly, like, gold is not, you can't cut things with gold, especially not gold leaf. It's so flimsy, it just folds up. The only way I can think to get alcohol into your system faster, short of injecting it direct into your bloodstream, would be to huff it if you had alcohol vapors. And there was an alcohol vaporizer I saw in the early 2000s, which was popular in America.
Dissident Thoughts wants a flaming Mo. Do you remember that one from The Simpsons?
Yeah, I remember the flaming Mo with the cough syrup in it as well. And but the you can actually just breathe in alcohol through your lungs, and that avoids the hepatic portal because it goes straight into your bloodstream, and you'll get drunk instantly from that because short of injecting it, that is like the quickest way to get alcohol into you. And I imagine you probably recover very quickly because you're not taking in much alcohol to begin with. It will get metabolized very quickly. Yes. I mean, of course, there's probably a thing where alcohol is going to irritate your lung linings.
What about dehydration and stuff like that? Would you get that if you were huffing alcohol?
I mean, the main thing for dehydration is because of the diuretic effect of alcohol. So when you're drinking it, you're pissing a lot. So if you're just huffing in like some brandy or vodka fumes, you will get the alcohol into your bloodstream and it goes into your blood-brain barrier.
Well, this might have been a dream I had once, but I'm sure I heard that they'd invented an alcohol which was like a two-part alcohol. So basically, you could drink the alcohol, and then sometime later, there was like a second part to it. It's not like any alcohol; it's like certain alcohol, and then you have a second part to it, and then that negates the effect of the alcohol.
Wasn't that something to do? There was that trick where you drunk alcohol through a straw. Wasn't that something like that?
I thought that got you drunk, didn't it?
I thought the trick of drinking alcohol with a straw, if it had like in a beer bottle or something, is that you put the straw in the bottle and then you neck it, and because you've got an air hole through the straw, it goes into your gob faster. So if you're trying to drink quickly from a bottle, that's how to do it.
Because there are drugs, I forget what they're called, a stupid nickname, like Grammys or something, or grommets or something, that the new psychiatric drugs, they are like based on the alcohol receptors in the brain. So you can actually...
GABA receptors.
That's it, yeah.
Funny enough, salvia works on the GABA receptors, which is probably why it fucks people's coordination up when they're on it. I suppose ketamine does the same thing as well then.
Can we just pretend this bit is all to do with the ecstasy episode that we did ages ago?
Yes, because that was woo-woo as well, wasn't it?
Oh, I was going to say something about that. Yeah, if I can.
This is just a brief aside before Zero goes on to his gnome story, and I just want to say I know a bit about absinthe, and it's like no response yet from my French correspondent. So, well, jury's out on that. Might have to come back next week on it.
I can't find the note, but I read something about the head of the chemical warfare division in South Africa. A few years ago, he was caught with loads of ecstasy, like loads of really pure ecstasy, and they like nicked him. And he said, like, "Well, it's not like I'm not a drug dealer. This is all part of a secret project called Project Coast, which was like a secret project to control crowds through ecstasy and other drugs." And I don't know if you mentioned that in the ecstasy yet. Christ, I can't speak.
No, because I think we kept it to kind of strictly like we were talking as regards the rave scene. Because you were going to say some stuff about the rave scene as well, weren't you? That you said that you thought it was hypnotic, didn't you?
Well, I think it's just like classical mind control, like with the flashing lights and the repetitive music and the drugs and like the dancing to exhaustion. I mean, that's what.
Hey, look, this music genre is called trance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they used to do in the rites of Eleusis, isn't it? Just in the ancient Greece. I mean, it's just mind. It's not necessarily bad. Well, it's bad if like the government.
Well, you see those joke videos, you know, with the Muslims when they do that dancing. It's like a what do they call it? Like a religious fever. You know,
whirling dervishes. The whirling dervish.
Yeah, have you seen that when they do it to like a rave tune or something?
I want to look that up now, but I'm doing a show. I'm not supposed to do that.
There's loads of memes about it. You'll find some. There are many different.
My favourite is Morris dancing drum and bass. Have you ever seen that? Got Morris dances, and then someone's put like MC Skibbity on it, and it's like, oh look, that actually syncs up really well. Turns out Morris dancers at the same tempo as drum and bass.
The other one of my favourites is the three raving lads, and they put yakety sax onto it instead, don't they? You seen that one? The Benny Hill theme tune, that is, for anybody that doesn't get the reference. You see that one, Hubbard? No, he's got
yes, I have. I've seen. You showed it to me, so I've seen. I'm just responding to Sarah in the chat, where we're talking about the finer points of consuming absinthe or absinthe. I'm still not sure, and now I feel very insecure about that. The idea of pouring it over a sugar cube is that the sugar dissolves into it because it's quite bitter. So, that masks the bitterness.
I want some absinthe now. It's like 20 quid a bottle, though, isn't it?
Yeah, so do I. But, well, that's not a bad price. I've got some pastis upstairs, but I can't be asked to drink tonight.
Yeah, I'm off the spirits after the incident.
Oh, yes. I thought we weren't referring to the incident.
Well, I was there for that. I heard the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's quite.
at least you did, because I don't remember any of it.
Probably just as well. You're not the only person who sort of thinks he said all sorts of interesting things to people when he's on the source.
Yeah.
Yeah. Problem is, he's the sort of person he won't normally get on the chat, and he's just like, it's Christmas, I've had 5 pints, I'll get on. It's like, hey, is Brutus on? Yeah, Brutus is on, I'll go on this show.
Yeah, I had a bit more than 5 pints. It was half a bottle of
spiced Jamaican rum.
It was half a litre of Captain Morgan's, and then I thought, my last thought before I blacked out was, I just fancy some Bacardi as well. that was the end of the night for me.
I remember when I was about 17, and it was it probably was about like half a litre of vodka and half a litre of pastis, and there might have been other things involved as well. And the next day I'm waking up and I can feel the beginning of a hangover. And one of my family members is a pharmacist, and he drove up, picked me up, and he's like, "You hungover?" And it's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Here, drink this." And it's like this sachet, and it had this pink salty gel in it. And I swallowed it. And I must have,
as long as it weren't a white salty gel, you'll be all right, mate.
Yeah. No, I swallowed it, and I couldn't even read at the time because it hurt to have my eyes open. And I said, "Well, what was that?" And he says, you're probably dehydrated, or some rehydration fluids and codeine." It's like, "Oh yeah, the codeine, yeah, that helps." Well, it did help. I wasn't hurting after that. It was amazing how quickly it just sort of cleared the hangover.
I can vouch for codeine, like not personally. A very good friend of mine has taken codeine, yeah, and that is good hot stuff. That's good stuff, yeah. I can help. If I can segue back to sort of fairies.
You were going to talk about the gnome. I want to hear this gnome story.
I heard the other day.
Is this a new gnome story, or the gnome story we know?
Yeah, no, a new one, but I read the other day that the Norwegians, they have black fairies, like actual black-coloured fairies.
You know, they're everywhere now, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I've never heard of that before.
They do the jobs that the lazy white fairies won't do.
Well,
I mean, is there like any drawings or descriptions of what these fairies are, or do they look like sub-Saharan fairies, or?
Well, those Norwegians though, they're nuts for gnomes though, aren't they? Because they reckon there's incidents where people have gone to bulldoze stuff, and like the bulldozer has gone and stopped, don't they?
That's happened in Ireland as well. That sort of stuff, yeah. When you mess with a fairy tree, yeah, that's very odd, yeah. You know, you get something like skeptical builder says, "Oh, fuck the fairy tree, I'm going to bulldoze it," you know, and he tries it, and then his company shuts down because all sorts of weird shit happens.
Either that, or sometimes I've read a story. I think it was like from Sweden or Norway or somewhere like that, and where they'd gone to move the bulldozer, and the bulldozer literally stopped in the middle of the road. It just wouldn't move. It wouldn't move past this certain point.
Well, I mean, I've heard stories about the various stone circles, and apart from the sort of famous ones, there's little ones in and around the shires. And one of them, one of the farmers a few centuries ago thought, that'll make a good stone to cross this stream. And they tried to drag it down, took numerous horses. Horses ended up dying, legs breaking when they're dragging this stone across, and men were dying trying to bring it down. And I don't even think they actually got it. This was going down the hill, and it was pointed to me how far this was, and I was like, "Oh, that's a 10-minute walk." And it's like, yeah, they struggled for about 3 days, got it halfway down the hill and gave up. It took 1 day to get it up the hill, no injuries, no fatalities, to bring it back in place.
Well, you've heard the fairy episode, haven't you, Hobbit?
There's
the island of Iona, where there's Is it Iona? Have two people died on Iona, or were they separate? Or were they separate? They were both Iona where they died.
I think so. Yeah, one strange woman died when she was looking for the fairies, and she died with all like strange circumstances. I think she was like walking barefoot, but her feet were clean when she was found dead on this fairy mound. So, yeah.
Wasn't she found in like a weird position and stuff as well, wasn't she?
I think, yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. Or she was holding something, or very, very curious.
And then there was a vicar that used to lay on the fairy mound. He used to listen to the music, and he died.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and he died as well.
Oh God, I can't remember his name. Yeah, he was apparently whisked off by the fairies because he was revealing their secrets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember his name. Yeah, very famous book, but I mean that book that vicar wrote, that's like the sort of motherlode of fairy lore. That's where a lot of people get their sort of stuff from about the fairies. Yeah. God, what was his bloody name? I can't think. Yeah, well, it's easily Googleable. But...
Do you remember a while ago there was that photograph which they said was, which the girls who were responsible for it said it was faked? Where
we never actually this is something we never talked about that, did we?
Cottingley fairies.
Yeah, we never spoke about the Cottingley fairies, did we?
Nah.
I don't think we did.
I always thought that was an enchanting photograph.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, they reckon one of them. They reckon they faked all of them except for one, which was the last photo, was a real one.
Well, I'm starting to wonder if it was a case of like somebody said to them, "Look, you've had your fun. You're going to go on the newspapers. They'll all cover your story, and you're going to tell them you faked it." Much like with the crop circles, say, "All right, look, you two out here." Well, I was just going to say, these two blokes who happen to be working for one of the spook agencies. This is like, yeah, it's us. We go out at 1 in the morning into fields, and we get our plywood, and we do it, and it's a great laugh. Yeah, we go to all these places throughout the British Isles to make these crop circles, and sometimes we go into France and Germany as well to do it. And yeah, we just go at 1 in the morning.
You laugh. You think of the amount of evidence, the bar you have to get over to prove that it was real, and to prove it was a hoax, you don't even need to put forward any evidence, do you? You just say you did the hoax, and that's it. Job done, isn't it?
I almost feel it's like a case of like a controlled information where there's just like, oh look, there's this spooky thing happening. We need to do something to get to make the public just ignore this thing.
Well, you have misinformation and disinformation, don't you? It's not people aren't only telling you outright lies. They're also like subverting it a little bit, so you get it mixed up and slightly wrong, don't they?
Yeah, there's been at least one crop circle that has just like appeared where like no one seems to have done. I think that was outside Glastonbury somewhere, where some pilots were like flying a plane over this field, and like there was no crop circle there, and for some reason they came back about 10 minutes later and there was a fucking crop circle there. So but that was all supposedly debunked. But
they've done all sorts of research into the actual stalks, and some of them are literally bent, aren't they? They're not snapped over. Some of them are bent, aren't they? Isn't it sometimes at the like cellular level?
No. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing I'd like to know, because sneeze. Excuse me, I didn't hit the mute button in time. But there was I've experimented with wheat stalks before, because there was a crop circle near just south of the Rollright Stones in the field, and I know from personal experience that the wheat stalks are quite brittle things, and that's quite good for the combine harvesters, because it's very easy to just push a blade through it and it snaps off. So you can't bend by. Well, somebody might say, "Oh, actually, yeah, you can bend it by hand. You see, you got to put steam on it first, and then the steam will soften it up and it'll run." It's like, yeah, but you do that, and you'll have killed the wheat stalk, and you'll see steam damage from where there'll be rot from where the water's penetrated the stalk. And these wheats, sheaves, stalks, what have been bent over in the crop circles, they're still viable, they're still living, and they're not damaged.
Yeah, there's weird stuff. I mean, it's not all New Age bullshit, crop circles. Like, no way. I mean, military helicopters have been seen, like black helicopters have been seen in the vicinity of them. And Matthew Williams has got a video of like these men in black that appeared at a crop circle him and his mates made. So there's not all New Age bollocks, you know. I just think they're very
Zero. What's your take on the men in black? Do you think they're human beings, or there's some other creature?
I know I was chased by one once, so like I know they're real. Like I was. What if they're before? But I was chased by one. Yeah, like a 7-foot one with a top hat. Yeah,
I was going to say, what if they were human beings, but they got like wiped? Like I'm just trying to think. Like they're just like a golem or a robot, but
we can do these on another episode, can't we? Because we're supposed to be filling in some gaps with this one, and all we've done is new content so far.
Yeah, but I like this. This is nice. I mean, we might have to do filling in the gaps part 2, where Hobbit's questions are answered.
Well, we fill in the gaps from the Fill in the Gaps show.
Can I just briefly say we'll be can I do a teaser for an episode that's coming up?
Go on then.
So in an episode that's coming up, we are going to be talking about particle accelerators, specifically the Large Hadron Collider, and Zero is going to talk about the sabotage that went there, which I didn't know about, because I'm curious about it for other reasons. And now, in the particle accelerators, the same pertain to crop circles and these weird things happening, golems, robots, new content. Oh, fuck, I've forgotten it. But there's a reason I mentioned that, because, I'll tell you what, the particle accelerator's done a weird magic on me that's made me forget what I was going to say. Let's put it down to that.
It done did an Alzheimer's on you.
Well, they've got the 666 logo, isn't they? I mean, that's like a danger flag right there, isn't it? I mean, it is a 666 in the logo.
It literally is. And my dad said, "Oh no, that's a load of bollocks." And I said, "Just go on their website, have a look." And he's like, "Oh, you're right." And he says, "Oh, have you seen this weird? They've done this like this ballet for the opening ceremony." It's like,
yeah.
"Oh, you heard about the ballet?" It's like, "Yeah, this isn't like any ballet I've seen. This is satanic." And it's like, "Yeah, why are they doing a ballet opening ceremony in there?" It's like, turns out the Swiss people are actually really weird, because they had a tunnel when they opened up. They did this really weird song and dance routine, and it looked like they were demons.
Yeah, they're all dressed as goats, didn't they? Like horns and that. Yeah, it's just.
It always struck me as unusual. It's like I always hear like news from like, here's what's happening in France and Spain, and you get news from your European cousins and stuff like that, but you never hear any news from Switzerland. It's always like suspiciously out of the news cycle. And it's like, well, isn't Switzerland supposed to be like a major? I mean, Austria's got less people than Switzerland. I hear far more news out of Austria than that place.
I think there's a lot of dark stuff goes on in Switzerland. I mean, there's a lot of strange castles in Switzerland.
Well, how can they have no standing army as such and yet never have been invaded?
Because the population of Switzerland are the army. It's strange how it works.
Well, I did say no standing army as such. I didn't. I am aware of that. Yeah, but I'm just saying it's like how can like Dad's army like fight off people who really wanted to invade?
It's strange. I mean, it's quite defensible because there's a lot of mountain passes which make natural kill zones. But here's an aside for that which might explain a bit of it. There's a board game called Illuminati, and I've got a copy of it. And one of the rules in it in the game says you can cheat, but only you're encouraged to cheat in the game. So my friend would always just like help himself to extra bits of money, and I said, the cheating only works if we know you're not doing it. It's just there's no way you could have got that. But one of the factions of it is called.
Well, that's the way they do it now. They
Moonies
just do it right in front of your fucking face, don't they? They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
give a shit anymore, do they?
And if you say, "Hey, you're cheating," they'd be like, "Ah, that's anti-Semitism." You know, it's like super racism.
Yeah.
Just immediately shuts down criticism. But one of the factions to get onto this is called the Gnomes of Zurich. They're one of the factions, and I think the way they win the game is by having a certain amount of money.
Well, isn't it law in Switzerland that every household has to have an automatic machine gun?
Yeah, well, an assault rifle,
Yeah.
and you've got to have an assault rifle, 2 magazines of ammunition for it, and you've got to hide it somewhere in the house so that it can't be found within 5 minutes when the inspector comes.
You mean an assault rifle 47? I know all about those. I've heard about them on the news.
Yeah, they've got not just fully semi-automatic, but fully automatic assault rifles.
I know all about the assault rifle 15. I know all about that because I watched.
I am very familiar with the AK-15s, which fire the cop killer bullets. And they've got the underslung attachments where you can have even an underslung chainsaw on them. Is this a bit like if you go talk into a mirror and say Candyman 5 times, Candyman appears? If we start talking about incorrect calibers, Capstan will appear.
No, because he hasn't got a link.
Well, no, I mean that's the thing. We'll just summon Capstan. He'll sort of hear it, and so he turns up in the chat.
Did somebody say weapons?
But
so where were we anyway?
I don't want
yet another tangent.
Well, fairies in Wrexham, like not a very well-known thing, but Wrexham in North Wales is quite a shithole, to be blunt about it. I've been there, mate.
Hello to all our listeners in Wrexham.
If anyone, I'm sorry if there's any Wrexham listeners, but it's quite a shithole. I mean, I'm sure they'd agree, but there's a lot of fairy stuff going on in Wrexham, like Fairy Road in Wrexham. That was once home to the officers of the Football Association of Wales. Like their headquarters was on Fairy Road. And Wrexham is also the site of an ancient tumulus in the grounds of this strange detached house named Fairy Mount, which was supposedly built on a plot which was named Fairy Field. If anyone's interested, it's on the corner of Belmont Road and Fairy Road, which I just mentioned. And the tumulus was shown on the 1909 Ordnance Survey map of Wrexham, but it's been mysteriously wiped from any later editions. And yeah, Fairy Road in Wrexham. I've never been. I've been to Wrexham. I've never been to Fairy Road in Wrexham, but I wanted
to pay more attention to what you're saying, but I'm just aghast in the chat. If you're serving in the US military, you have to be circumcised. Does that include the female soldiers as well?
Every male member of
the. Do you think fairies are more of a Celtic thing than?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's where all the sort of like lore comes from. But I don't think they're like. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about English fairies. People see fairies in England, don't they? I mean, there's the Fairy Investigation Society. That's all England stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
There must be the little folk in other countries as well. I mean, in Russia, they've got brownies. They've got a name for the house spirits, which if you don't keep your house tidy, they'll start hiding the keys and things like that.
Yeah, we did. We did. I took a great big list of them. So.
I'm wondering if there's like things like that. I mean, that's the problem with the language barrier. I don't know about like the folklore of Italy.
Well, even the American Indians had their own.
They're certainly about these things. I mean, like I said before, I saw a gnome outside Norwich train station, before, and I wasn't on drugs or anything, but I was walking past Norwich train station. I sort of
isn't that one of your few stories that doesn't start with you being stoned?
I saw a perfect like gnome sitting on this like grass verge, like sitting down on this grass verge. Like, there's a bloody gnome, and I sort of, as you do, you sort of look away and look back, and he was gone. But for a few seconds, there was a perfect bloody gnome there.
I like this presumption that when you see something out of the ordinary, you immediately look away and look, as you do, and it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I've never encountered one of those situations, but
well, that's the weird thing
Norfolk.
That's the weird thing about debunkers. What debunkers say is like, yeah, well, you see something, you automatically think it's a ghost, but but in my opinion, it's the opposite. Your brain will try and tell you it's anything but what you've actually seen, doesn't it?
Yeah, I start looking for like practical explanations before looking for fantastical ones.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. Yeah, you can't get carried away, can you? I mean, like, I
wanted to do a brief aside about Norwich. That, as you mentioned it, the term Worsted is from a village near Norwich called Worsted, and that's where the fabric comes from. So there you go.
Yeah, Norwich is a strange old place. I lived there for years, but there's loads of tunnels and like caverns under Norwich. There's all sorts of like strange stories about, sort of rituals going on underneath Norwich and that. Yeah.
Oh, I found some protective charms for getting rid of fairies. Wearing clothing inside out, church bells, St John's wort, 4-leaf clovers. Isn't that more? I'd say that's more the Irish little people, isn't it? In Newfoundland
leprechauns are fey folk.
Newfoundland folklore, the most popular type of fairy protection is bread, varying from stale bread to hardtack to a slice of fresh homemade bread.
That's pretty strange. Yeah.
So are you telling me like fairies are on the keto diet?
Well, not really, because that's Newfoundland fairies, but Celtic folklore. Baked goods are a traditional offering to the folk, as are cream and butter. Because there's kind of weird cow stuff as well, isn't there? They ride. Because we saw that thing about we read that thing about changelings, didn't we, Zero?
Well, people used to like carve like horrible sort of like dolls of like babies and stick them in the cot, so the fairies would take that rather than the real baby. Yeah, it's really creepy stuff. Yeah. But if you want to protect yourself against fairies, the best thing is a rod of magnetized iron, because they really hate that. Apparently, that's the best thing. I don't know why they'd hate iron though. Iron's like cool, isn't it? Iron's good.
Hobbit, brownies are British folklore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What the Russian equivalent of brownies are.
Yeah, brownie or a broonie. Apparently, the Scots call it. Brownies are quite good because if you have a dirty house, they fuck you up, don't they? They don't like a dirty house, do they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you want to hear about the urinating goblin or not?
I do.
Let's go. For it.
I'm pissed enough that.
You're the right amount of drunk, are you?
Urinating goblin, right? In 1932, a German writer his real name, this comes from the book called Familiar Spirits by Colin Waters, which is like a collection of like erotic type ghosts. But there was a German writer in 1932 the guy who wrote this book knows his real name, but he doesn't give it. But anyway, this German writer and his wife were on holiday near Roscrea in Ireland, and this guy set off alone to one of the local round towers. This 80-foot high round tower. But round towers, the entrance to a round tower is like about 15 foot off the ground. And he said he went there and like, as he was looking at the entrance, he saw this figure appeared. This figure appeared at the entrance, but then like somehow walked down from this high entrance to the ground at a steep angle, but like with no visible means of support, as if he was just like walking down a staircase or something. As this bloke sort of like looked like this entity like was revealed to be a 3-foot tall man, totally naked except for a brown floppy hat, and he was giggling stupidly. And this guy says, like, and I quote, "I can only describe him as a goblin." And he added that the sheer ugliness of this goblin's features made him feel physically sick, because the goblin was covered in like warts and had like a large misshapen nose, and you know that's what it says. And worst of all, he had a large disproportionate. He had this gnome thing had a large, disproportionately thick phallus, which almost hung to the ground. And there's another bit here. I'll have to read it. So you got this big nosed gnome with a large dick, and there's another bit here. I'll have to read it from the book.
Sounds a bit like the Roman Priapus. That was a popular icon having at the house, and she's got this little dwarf creature with a big knob.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, the Priapus. Yeah.
And that's why we get the term priapism, for when an erection that doesn't go down causing medical issues.
But this bloke goes on. This is what I'm now going to say. This is the words of this actual guy who saw it, and I'll take a couple of minutes, but it's quite worth reading. But right, I'll get onto this. Right, this guy says that the goblin seemed fully aware that I was unable to take my eyes off his giant member, and giggling like and
hypnotising him with it swinging around, was he?
And giggling like a maniac, he began to swing it around and around like an enormous piece of rope. At this point, I was walking backwards and stumbled over a rock, the hair on the back of my neck standing on end. As I did so, the ugly, misshapen goblin rushed towards me.
Oh, God, stuck it in his mouth.
In fear of danger, I held my hands to my face, expecting a blow, when I suddenly experienced something hot.
Expecting a blow, that's a poor choice of language.
I held my hands to my face, expecting a blow, when I suddenly experienced something hot and wet hitting me.
Oh, no.
The goblin was urinating on me. As I looked up, more now in anger than horror, the ugly being began to fade away slowly, taking on the appearance of the ghost you see in the pictures. With a strange dance, he began to laugh loudly. Before I knew it, he had faded to a point where he looked nothing more than a featureless grey shadow, and began to drift across the ground back towards the tower. Why I did it, I don't know, but my first reaction was to lift up my arm to my nose and smell it, presumably because of the urine shower which I had just experienced, as you would do, I suppose. But strangely, not only did my clothes not smell, but I realised that my previously wet clothing was now completely dry. Even the spots of rain on my glasses had disappeared, and through the clear lenses, I could just see the gnome-like figure once more returning through the air to the door of the tower in the same way that he had come down. So there you go, the urinating gnome.
Do you reckon he got back and his missus said, "Anything happened while you were out?" Nah, nothing.
Well, I've never heard of a urinating gnome before, but that was in, what was it, Roscoe in Ireland. So yeah, investigation should be done, I think.
One of the most famous statues in Belgium is a urinating boy.
I've seen that, yeah.
Isn't it?
Oh, it is Eros. Oh,
what?
He's doing a wee. No, I'm just thinking Eros is, is the
God of love.
The counterpoint to Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Why is he weeing though?
Because I don't know. They thought. Well, you mentioned the story about the urinating goblin. I'm just immediately thinking of Eros doing a wee in Brussels. I think it's Brussels.
I suppose it's quite a pagan thing to do, and have a wee outside. Yeah.
No, any of you guys ever read Rawhead Rex by Clive Barker?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
It's basically like a Celtic demon that gets released, and there's a bit in that where he kind of baptises the vicar by pissing on him.
Yeah, I mean, Satanists like spray urine on each other, don't they, in their rituals? And yeah, I'm not sure why, but yeah. Well, it's quite a.
And we talk about the Anton Oive type Satanists.
It's kind of like, well, you know, like the Christians asperge people with holy water, don't they? So they use piss instead. Their jolly little rituals. Yeah.
Nice.
If not blood.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting to think some of these perfumes, especially when you look at the advertising. I'll tell you what, the advertising used in perfumes. I was at a ferry port, and it had this big display on it and the display was advertising various perfumes, and it was fantastic. It was better than any science fiction I've seen. In fact, one of them, I think, was by Jean-Paul Gaultier, and I thought, wasn't he responsible for some of the set designs in The Fifth Element? That might explain all
of the outfits, all of them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But it might explain why the advert looks so out there. But I know there's
even that Gaga, you know that thing that is it Mila Jovovich? What she wears when she's first, like, even that he designed all that. He designed all of the outfits.
Well, of course he would. Yeah. But you know, that's not as great as his greatest role, which was being the occasional guest host on Eurotrash.
Hanging around with Madonna.
Yeah.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was banging her, because I don't think he's that way inclined. But he did. He wasn't.
No, he's
he was
not.
A friend of Madonna, wasn't he?
Well, that's the thing. You see, I mean, these perfumists, especially the one with Lady Gaga, with her blood, semen, and probably shit in there. I know.
I thought that was Johannes's. I thought that was Johannes's.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if he has his own scent line, but he should get into it. But I mean, there is like blood and semen in some of these perfumes, and people spraying it on themselves, which I think in some ways is a sacrilege, because it's very much like, you know, dousing yourself in holy water, but just not really. The opposite.
Well, there's human fetuses in a lot of makeup, isn't there? And it's just like...
Oh, well, worse than that. I mean, the anti-aging cream, this is why South Korea is like so good for exporting this stuff, is just ground up. They make a pate from all the foreskins they circumcise from their babies. I mean, in South Korea, it's done as a matter of course to all baby boys. And you got women paying hundreds of dollars for this anti-aging cream, and they're just like smearing ground up foreskin into their wrinkles.
God.
And I always remember how there was that show by Penn Jillette called Bullshit, which was great for me back in my libertarian days. And I always just remember, I didn't realize at the time that it was a 4x2. And he was saying it was kind of sexy. You got all these women smearing baby foreskins into their face. And now I'm just like, oh, mate, that's disgusting on multiple levels, especially now that you said that.
Well, it's like women, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to bash women, but I mean, when they inject that Botox into their faces, I mean, Botox is not a very nice substance.
Well, botulism, which is what Botox is, botulism toxin, is literally weaponized toxins. Like the army's like, we need a bacterial agent which kills people. Oh, this is the most potent bacterial toxin we found. It's a nerve agent. It will kill people. It'll stop their hearts and all that. Oh, look, here's the spin-off from it. Women will pay billions to have it injected into their face so that their muscles are permanently paralyzed. Can I just say we got breaking news? Marco Coletti Spaghetti has been banned from Patriotic Weekly Reviews chat. Apparently his name's too divisive.
Not only that, he was asking are Italians white as well.
Well, can I just say, when I was in Malta, I was going to the Sicilian restaurant, and the couple that were there, best food I've ever had in my life. Hang on, no, it would be in the top 3. Easily the top number 1. And they were white. They were from Sicily, but they were white. And Sicily, South Italy. And it's like their version of the Isle of Wight.
God, it has a prison on there.
Well, I don't know. There probably are
And they have
prisons
butt
on
babies.
Sicily. It's a large enough island. I wouldn't know. I don't know many stories about Alpha. I suppose that means there's an equivalent of David Icke on Sicily. Well, yeah, they had what's his name? That bloke who drank the hemlock when the Romans invaded. He was a Greek philosopher. He was talking about shape-changing reptilians back then. Come on, he's got a name.
I can't think of it. I know the name. I can't think of it.
He was from Syracuse.
Oh God, is it?
Oh, you must know him. He's not Plato. He was Aristotle. I think it's Aristotle.
I don't know.
Oh well.
Come on, Hemi, you're the Googler.
What's
Who
that?
drank hemlock? Who drank hemlock in the Greek philosophers?
Shit.
Well, the Romans invaded.
Socrates.
Oh, Socrates. Yeah, there we go.
Socrates.
That's Sicily's David. Yeah, that's Sicily's equivalent of David Icke. Oh, why do all my muscles hurt?
Yeah. Hemlock tea, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. Hate Speech says he'd rather take Botox over ground up baby foreskins any day. And whilst I agree with you on the fact that the ground up baby foreskins is cannibalism, it's less
Alabaster
toxic
knows
than...
it's Socrates.
Oh yeah. So clear it is.
Socrates.
Well, while we're on the subject of hate speech, like, you know, the Balfour Declaration, like, I've often, you often hear about
anti-Semitic, that declaration.
You often hear about the Balfour Declaration, but I didn't realise that the Balfour Declaration.
It's easy for you to say.
That was Arthur Balfour, who was the British Prime Minister, and I didn't realise that. He was the First World War British Prime Minister, and interestingly enough, he was a lifelong bachelor. Old Arthur Balfour,
a confirmed bachelor.
He was a lifelong bachelor.
You know what perfect? You know what a confirmed bachelor is code for, don't you?
But he was a confirmed bachelor, i.e. gay. He also had this weird relationship with someone called Mary Charteris, which was a sort of sadomasochistic sort of thing. And it's also claimed that he was a hermaphrodite, old Arthur Balfour.
So is that why he was Arthur?
What is
that? Oh God! That's good.
So he's a lifelong bachelor. He's a hermaphrodite, and he's into kinky sadomasochistic sex. But he was also the head of the Society for Psychical Research. Ooh. From 1892 to 1894. So that pulls us back to the political sorcery stuff. So you got this really weird guy who grants Israel its own country status.
Highly, being a homosexual, he's highly blackmailable as well, isn't it? That's why they weren't allowed to have positions, wasn't it? Because they were highly blackmailable, weren't they?
Yeah.
And if you upset them, they end up getting someone to shoot your dog, don't they?
Yeah. For some reason.
Do you know about? You don't know about Jeremy Thorpe, then, Hobbit?
No, I was just thinking of Michael Barrymore. It's like
Jeremy Thorpe. Jeremy Thorpe was he was Lib Dem leader in '60s, was it? Zero. In the '60s,
he killed his boyfriend's dog, didn't he?
No, he hired a hitman to do it who bungled it, and the hitman shot the bloke's dog instead of the bloke.
This sounds like the beginning of the plot to the Trailer Park Boys pilot, where they're pet assassins and they go around to exterminate troublesome animals. And they're going around, they're trying to shoot cats and dogs, but they keep failing.
I'm not... I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't watched it.
it's very comfortable. I do enjoy. I say I do enjoy. I did enjoy watching that show. The main thing I liked about it was just all the trees and just seeing
Hobbit, in
people
future,
amongst all this
you're only allowed to
nature.
tangent. You're only allowed to tangent if you can bring it round to the paranormal on this program.
Well, the thing is, when you're in the forest and stuff like that, there's all sorts of fae folk. Maybe they had a positive influence on the show to remind people that you should probably return to the woods.
That's super tenuous, that is, Hobbit.
I shout for Hellier. Has anyone seen Hellier? Yeah, that's a great American sort of paranormal series. I don't know what you call it, a sort of series, but it's brilliant. I certainly recommend Hellier to the chat and to everyone.
What's that? Is that American, English? What?
It's like these like paranormal series. They're usually like more on level, aren't they? These things, but this is like really intelligently done. But Hellier, yeah, good stuff. But I recommend it, yeah. And I don't usually recommend this stuff because it's usually fucking bullshit, isn't it? This like not Hollywood, but this sort of like friendly media, paranormal TV type stuff. It's usually bullshit, isn't it? It's just like made up stuff.
The X-Files started off quite interesting, then it just got really shit, didn't it?
My final note is how to become a werewolf, but I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything before we get to that.
You're going to kill the program with this.
Well, I couldn't. I mean, if it's a show like this where I feel like I'm putting in it, I feel like I'm putting in effort. I take this more seriously than other shows I've been on. I've always been sober on these ones. I just feel like I'd be. I've, as you may notice, I have difficulty focusing on one subject at a time. So, yeah.
I think you even have difficulty focusing on one thing at a time, Hobbit.
I like a bit of lubrication on this show. I think, actually, I like a bit of lubrication on all shows. Not that I've been on any, but it can distract from the, because when I get a certain amount of drunk, your brain gets stuck in first gear, don't it? I don't like.
Yeah, you sort of go all over the place. Yeah. And, I know that feeling. I sort of figured out. I know it's in euros because I was out across the pond and I was buying booze there. And I spent 110 euros on various beers when I was there. And I've got a couple of bottles left. And I bought those in October. So I think that's lasted me quite well. We're in January now. So that's lasted me three months. That's not bad.
I used to be like a spirits only guy, but I've discovered Californian Merlot red wine, and that's what I've been drinking just lately, because it's like a milder form of drunkenness where you are drunk, but you can also get it together if you're like called upon to do so, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, red wine, especially young red wine, is quite a good bit of thing, and
very earthy kind of.
I bought an Australian.
I like the young ones. I was quite happy because my granddad normally he drinks sort of the strong stuff. Anywhere from 12% and above. And I found out Camargue is in the south of France. I thought it was in the north, and you get salt from there, but you also get it's a wine growing region. And I was having this 9% wine, which was very pleasant. Hello. It was good because he says, well, the idea about this is you can have it with your lunch, you can have a couple of glasses, and you're still, able to do work afterwards. It's not. Shit, that means the show's going to stop anyway.
No, it's not. I was talking and nothing was coming out, so I had to leave and then come back in. Yeah, you only disappeared for a second there.
So the best wine I've ever drunk was carrot wine. I used to know this Irish guy, and he used to make this homemade carrot wine, and that was the best fucking drink I've ever drunk. That was just amazing. Just from carrots, you know, like
Yeah.
who would have thought it? But just
Well,
amazing.
I could believe that because carrots are quite sweet when you cook them. And one of the ones which always really surprised me, because I never liked the taste of marrows, and they're actually they're a lot softer than courgettes, so they're quite good for a ratatouille. I was with this bloke. He was a brilliant artist, by the way. He was a master, not saddler. Beautiful. He was brilliant at drawing as well as making saddles. And he brought in some marrow rum, and it's how do you do it? And he said, well, you scoop out the seeds from the inside, you fill it up with soft brown sugar, and you use the smallest needle you can find to poke holes in the bottom, and then you get this liquid seep out through it, and you collect it in a bucket, and you just put a cheesecloth on top so it doesn't, no insects can get in. And you keep topping up with sugar as it goes down until the entire marrow just disintegrates, and there you got it. You've got yourself an alcoholic drink. It's been spontaneously fermented with yeast in the air, and it was so pleasant, this drink. It was lovely.
That's what this Irish guy was doing. Like you said, like when you make it, you don't put all the sugar in at the start. You just like chop it up with sugar over the coming weeks, sort of thing, and that's what gives it its special sort of magic or whatever. Yeah,
I've got an Australian bottle of red to drink. That's
you're gonna eat it.
There's a vineyard that's built on a former cricket ground.
Well, Tesco's do a really nice. It's called Barefoot Merlot. It's like £6.50, but it's very, very, very drinkable. Very nice. It's like a mild ruby port.
Aldi does good wine.
Yeah, very nice.
I quite like the German ones, and the Austrian ones are superb, but unfortunately they don't export them. If you find yourself, you've got a chance to drink some Austrian wine, doesn't matter if it's red or white, drink it.
Yeah, they know their wine, the Austrians. Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's the thing. I was talking with some of the locals there, and they said, oh, yeah, about 15 years ago, we were quite embarrassed about the quality of our wine, so we did a lot of steps to improve it. And I think the French have got, well, there's two things with the French. They've got complacent, but also they don't export the good stuff.
Don't the Austrians make, I don't know what it's called, but it's not unfermented, but there's some sort of wine the Austrians make. I don't know what it's called, but it's not like, I can't think of it, but it's not like fermented, but God, I can't think of it.
Well, it would be grape juice then.
It's sort of like, it's alcoholic, but it's like, it's just like really basic stuff, like really basic ingredients, but I can't think of what it's called. But
well, that's a bit of a head scratcher, because I mean, wine is one of the more difficult things to ferment. It's not an easy thing to get right, is wine. It's a lot of efforts involved in it.
Yeah, it's definitely an art.
You're making me want to crack out. I've got this bottle of Cactogen. Is this dessert wine? It's really lovely. It's beautiful taste to it, but I haven't got any food with me, so I'm going to save it when I got food.
Because I used to neck the vodka, but I think it's a bit of a shock to the system, isn't it, necking vodka? But wine is much more friendly, isn't it, to the system?
Well, I was going to say, anything over 20% and you're causing irritation to your throat lining. So with those spirits, I've always diluted them with water. I have drunk them neat because I was curious about it. It's just, you don't want to do it. So yeah.
But alcohol has to be the best drug in the world, I think. I don't know about all these people who get addicted to cocaine and that, but
I beg to differ.
Sugar's addictive as crack.
Well,
that's the thing.
That's the stupidest thing in the world to say, that is.
Well, this is the thing. Someone told me that Oreo biscuits are more addictive than cocaine. They did an MRI scan, like showing up pleasure centers lighting up from doing cocaine compared to eating some of the biscuits.
Right, seems we seem to have morphed into food and drink. Are we done here, are we?
Well, I've got a thing, but
well, Hemi, I was going to ask, is there anything else we've missed out? Because I will sort of talk about this if I can
don't know.
get away with
We've
it.
done 20 odd episodes, and we don't seem to have touched on any of them.
Dissident Forza said this. Dissident Forza said this is turning into grub and soil. But no, I've got a paranormal.
I mean, that's the thing is you get Hobbit involved.
Ghosts,
and, you get
ghosts and soil.
No, I have a paranormal alcoholic anecdote.
You're going to tell us how to turn into a werewolf?
Yeah, I know. I've got that.
Next time I do this, I'm going to drink like some pastis so I can say the spirits are with me.
I've got the recipe for a Damiana liqueur, and I've made it. And fuck me, does that like blast the psychic parts of the brain that don't usually get activated? You drink a couple of glasses of Damiana liqueur, and bloody hell,
I've smoked Damiana before. It's quite pleasant.
Well, Damiana liqueur, you get about an ounce of Damiana, and you steep it in vodka for a month, and then you put it in a saucepan with a bit of honey, and you simmer it for a bit, and then you pour it back into the bottle, leave it for another 3 months, and then fuck me, is that a psychic drink? Like,
well, another psychic drink is called Green Dragon, and it's where you get an ounce of cannabis and you put it into a liter of strong vodka, and the alcohol leaches all the drug from the
the volatile oils, doesn't it? Just
they dissolve in the alcohol, and then you drink it, and or people drink it, I should say. And you when you consume a sufficient quantity of it, you will start to hallucinate.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff.
I mean, it's possible to do that just from smoking hashish.
Yeah, hashish is very strange, isn't it? Because like hashish is a total hallucinogenic psychotic drug. I mean, I've seen people who've like smoked their first joint and then they go out into the garden. And they say like, what's up with you, Dave? And he goes, there's all rabbits everywhere, and there's no rabbits there. And they're on a total like psychedelic trip from smoking a joint. Like, people don't realise that hashish is hallucinogenic.
Well, no, I mean, people just sort of go, oh yeah, it's mild stuff and blah blah blah. But it's you did. Hey, funny enough, I got curious when I looked up Damiana to remind myself, because I was getting it mixed up with Jimson weed, which is Datura, and you don't want to consume that. But yeah, there's traditional Mexican liqueur, and it's Damiana liqueur. So it's sometimes used in lieu of triple sec and margaritas. So now I'm going to go on the Amazon, see if I can find Damiana liqueur.
I'll send you the recipe. I've got the recipe somewhere. But there's a special recipe. I think it's in what's his name? Robert Miller's The Magical Use of Herbs. It's in that book. That's where I got it from. Fuck me, does that open your psychic brain circuits? You know, it really does. And you don't have to drink much of it. You know, you only have to drink a couple of shot glasses and you're away, you know. Like, I shall have to make some more, I think.
Yeah, I can't find Damiana available. I'm getting plenty of smoking blends. I tried some of that. What's that the popular smoking blend called? It's Herbal Rose, Honey Rose. That's it.
I've had them. Yeah, Honey Rose cigarettes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just got the powder. I just got the stuff because I'm done smoking tobacco, and unfortunately I'm with friends and they'll offer me some, and it's like, no, I'm going to smoke this instead, so I can be social with smokers.
Yeah, the thing is, I really like nicotine. I think nicotine's really interesting. Like, if you're a sort of like nerdy intellectual guy like me, like nicotine is very helpful. You know,
a lot of people like nicotine.
I thought you was a geezer. You told us you was a geezer last night.
Well, I am a geezer, but I'm an intellectual geezer.
We know you got a goatee beard and a pewter pentagram.
Shaving head, yeah. No, I am a geezer, but I'm like an intellectual geezer. Like, what's the word? I'm an intelligent prole. That's what I like to call myself, in a sort of George Orwell sort of sense. I'm an intelligent prole.
Oh, here we go. You're like this one. This can go into your crystal shop, Zero. I can imagine you running one of those crystal shops. So I'm not going to give the name of the brand on this, but it's called Damiana Herbal Infused Magical, and Magical is spelled Magickaal, incense oil. And the first thing in the description says for love and sex, magic with the K at the end.
Well, you know what magic is. You know what magic with a K is, don't you, Hobbit?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's bum boy stuff, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
It's pewter pentagram stuff.
It's pewter pentagram, yeah.
Well, I mean, for the fact that it says that it's for love and sex magic, I mean, it says it right. It's the source.
Do you reckon we have any of the pewter pentagram crowd listening to us, or are we just not serious enough?
What, we're going to summon Styx, Hex, and Hammer 1488?
Oh, God. But the thing about sex magic is that there's all these books written about sex magic, but none of these people know what the fuck they're talking about. You know, it's just like...
Half of them probably ain't had sex.
Surely it's just like they hear sex. It's like, oh, if I do these things, then smelly witches will have sex with me. Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Yeah. It's like Joel Barocco said once, like, all this sex magic is just fucking. You know, that's all it is. You know, it's just...
on the base part of it, these witches, which are, harvesting men's essence in sex magic, as they call it, they're doing what all women do. They're getting attention from men, and they're taking your creative power, and they're focusing on themselves.
I actually got a comment on the YouTube channel about last. Can we keep the women hating down to a minimum?
Yeah, I know. It's yeah. But for the record,
okay, Kuma.
I'm just doing some fan service of it.
Yeah, all right. Not all women are like that. Then.
Yeah.
I'm really annoyed with the description of this bottle, right? So it's for sex magic and all that, blah blah blah. Oils blended by hand, organic, ethically sourced. Yeah, single oil sold in a small 10ml recyclable plastic bottle. I mean, what's the fucking point then if it's in plastic?
You see, well, not you personally, but all this occult stuff, I'd say 95% of it is total balls, and like 5% is really good. But all we ever seem to hear about is the 95% of the balls stuff, isn't it? It's just.
So what do you think's the crap then?
Well, it's all this like all this goatees, shaven heads, and pewter pentagrams, isn't it? And sort of like. What's that bloody ghost?
Zero. Show me on the doll. Show me on the doll where the pewter pentagram man touched you.
Well, it's all just like I've met these people, and it's like something like Terence McKenna said. It's like, well, not necessarily with the occult, but with the UFOs, and he says like these are second-rate minds. They're second-rate minds, and you wouldn't even trust them to sort of investigate a car wreck, let alone a UFO landing.
Well, they even fight more than the right wing, don't they? They make us look like amateurs at fucking infighting, don't they? Well,
that's what the joke is. It's like they say they didn't call it witchcraft; they call it bitchcraft, because all these columns, all they do is just like slag each other off, and like, who can be more moronic than the next?
Well, that was like the. I can actually bring it back to an old episode. The Highgate Vampire. A lot of that was kind of that kind of stuff, wasn't it? The magical duel. Mind you, to be fair, you said they did it with swords, didn't they?
Yeah, they did have a duel with swords, sabers. Yeah,
sabers. Yeah.
Has Damiana turned into a controlled substance? Because I used to remember seeing it online. You could buy it, and I can't find it for sale now. I'm curious about this.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice sell it in Leeds, mail order. They still sell it, Damiana. Yeah, I think it comes from Mexico. I think that's the best stuff from Mexico.
Yeah, it says native to southern Texas, Central America, South America.
Oh, can we start selling water filters as well?
Oh,
do
mate.
you reckon we should have a line of water filters? Do you think we should start selling them?
I thought we were getting sponsored by Halfords in this episode. That's why we'd start with the,
I don't know. I'm just thinking of cutting out the middleman.
Top Gear magazine.
I'm just thinking of cutting out the middleman. I think we should sell some water filters.
I would like a water filter.
Yeah.
I went for a job. I went for a job in Halfords once.
Do you want me to give Big Berkey? do you want me to give Big Berkey a ring and see if we can get on?
Well, while we're on the subject, what about ginseng? Have you ever took ginseng?
I don't know. That's supposed to be a bit, isn't it?
Yes, I have, and because I heard that Chinese mystics would consume ginseng and cannabis together in order to control time. And
I thought it was supposed to give. I thought it was boner fuel, wasn't it? Ginseng.
Well, most Chinese medicine is for baldness and boners. So when they first went to Emperor Xi Jinping, they had to say, "We want to do research into this herb. What's it for?"
Gives you boner.
It's for no, it's for controlling. Not interested. Also, boners and baldness. Okay, here's some money to research it.
I don't need like a boner drug. I just need a woman. You know, it's like I don't need like. I'm all right in that department. I don't know why they're so obsessed with these boner drugs. You know, surely like
you just want a big titty goth GF, don't you, Zero?
What the fuck? What the fuck's wrong with these people? They need boner drugs.
Well, the Chinese have a saying that a plain woman is a treasure in the house, and if you look at most Chinese women, I would understand why they need boner.
Do they have anything but plain women?
Yeah.
Do they have anything but plain women?
No. Oh, and this is another thing as well. I saw a video of like these Asian women, and they look quite cute with elfin faces, and then they pull their hair aside, and you just see how pan-faced they are. And they're using their long straight hair to hide the true extent of their faces, and just that they're all moon faces.
They all look like sex dolls to me, like Asians or Japanese girls and Chinese girls. They look like
Especially
sex
when they look
dolls,
surprised.
don't they? Sort of. I don't know.
Why do all sex dolls look surprised?
Is it because of like the way they shape the lips on the face?
Yeah.
It's fucking sad, isn't it? Sex dolls, fucking hell. God, just like you might as well shag a watermelon. If I was that desperate, I'd drill a hole in a watermelon.
Oh, did you ever see that? Did you ever see that program once called Bizarre Sexual Accidents?
Sounds good.
Some dude to cheer himself up late one night. He drilled a hole in a watermelon, then put it in the microwave. The only problem was the twat put it in for too long, and the centre of the melon had reached 1,000 degrees C.
Oh, and the great thing about that is, rather than going, okay, let's put my finger in this to make sure it's safe to stick,
just plow straight into
part of my body. Yeah, it's just like, oh, you're so hot, you're steaming for me. That's definitely a place I want to stick my willy.
Because there was a big thing in the 90s about having sex with vacuum cleaners, weren't there? In the sort of underground, perverted sort of thing. Like people were having sex with vacuum cleaners.
Well, yeah, they were going to A&E about it as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
It got so mainstream that on Harry Enfield's Kevin the Teenager, it says, if you can't be a sex machine, use machines for sex. And it's a machine with Kevin's got the vacuum cleaner, and he's just got this longing look, and you see it sticking down his trousers.
But I don't see how you'd injure yourself.
Right, I think we've run out of content now, haven't we?
Wait. What other content we do? We've done gnomes, we've done fairies, we've done James Dean's car, little bastard. What else?
Are you going to tell us? Are you going to tell us?
Yeah. How to become a werewolf? See, Samuel Johnson once said, like, he who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man. And I sort of agree with that, But if you want to become a werewolf, there's a certain ritual called the ritual of the beast. But I don't know whether this is too silly to talk about, but I'll do it anyway.
I think considering the rest of our content tonight, don't worry about it, mate. This show's gone right off the fucking rails, mate, so I won't worry about it.
Well, I'm not, if you're going to do this, it's at your own risk, because if you're going to become a werewolf, that's not my fucking, that's not on my fucking karma, but if you do want to become a werewolf, you got to go out at the new moon and you go to a place that's apart and away from humans, and then you draw a magic circle, and then you add lycanthroposis flowers to the circle.
What is a magic circle? Just for those that don't know.
Magic circle is just a circle. You just draw a circle in the ground with salt or anything. But the thing is, you have to add lycanthroposis flowers that are white and yellow with a white and yellow they're white and yellow with a white and sticky sap, with a faint scent subtly suggestive of death. But you add that to a cauldron of lycanthroposis water, which is water taken from a stream where 3 or more wolves have been witnessed drinking from, or water from a stream that has been mixed with water from a wolf's paw print. So if you can be asked to do all that, to do that, you heat it over an open fire, and when it's boiling, you pour the contents around the fire in a Widdishin circle. And then over the fire, as the flames are extinguished, you say your invocation, which I'll leave that up to your own imagination. But you do this at each quarter of the moon until it reaches the full moon. And at the full moon, you get totally naked and you smear your body with the fat of a recently killed animal. And then you tie a girdle or a belt, for thickos out there who don't know what a girdle is. You tie a belt around yourself.
I know what a girdle is. A girdle's what William Shatner used to wear when he did Star Trek.
Well, you stick a girdle around yourself made from wolf skin, but you stick it around your loins, and then you kneel down. You stare at the full moon. You howl a bit, and then you speak as a man. Like you stare at the moon and you start speaking as a man. But you gradually change your voice into like a wolf, from like words to growls. And you continue staring at the full moon and howling until you completely lose your normal self. And then at that point, you wait for the great spirit of the wolf to appear and approach you. And if it does, it makes an extraordinarily loud howl or laugh. And then it abruptly disappears, and that means your wish has been granted, and you'll begin to metamorphosis into a wolf at the next sunset and turn back to a human at dawn. But the thing is, once you've done it, that's going to happen like every full moon from then on. So I'm not going to do it myself. That's not my cup of tea, but
I don't know. I think getting a wolf skin is not exactly easy these days, is it?
Yeah, but if you want to be a werewolf, there you go. You know, I wouldn't advise it, put it that way. But so yeah,
there we go.
I'd say the easiest, if you want to be a wolf, if you want to experience a wolf, I'd say do a sigil to acquire the powers of the wolf. That's what I did once, and that really was fucking mind blowing. You didn't have to piss about with all these stupid rituals. Just go straight to it. Get the idea from the conscious mind into the subconscious.
Don Ducken wants us to do werewolves and MILFs for the next show.
I was going to say 00. There's a bit of dissent in the chat because they're noticing now. They're saying like a girdle isn't exactly a girdle is what Sargon wears.
I don't know.
So. Well, the thing is also you say
whatever it is, isn't it?
Well, you can gird yourself in armor. It's like you put upon. I've always imagined it to be your torso, like No, that's a
point.
Don Ducken also
it's
says
not necessarily a belt. No.
Don Ducken also says we're way better than Coast
I
to
know
Coast.
of a werewolf that joined the GDL with Adam Green. Don Docken, you'll explain what GDL is. I don't know.
Goyim Defence League.
But if you want to be a werewolf, you can do it without all this ritual bullshit. Just go straight to it with an Austin Osman spare sigil. Like, I've done that in the past, and fuck me, was that a fucking good experience? Like, I can't, I'm just some nutcase on the internet, but
You're not just some nutcase, you are nutcase.
Yeah.
You're not just any old nutcase, you are nutcase.
I'm a nutcase, but I speak from experience. I'm not talking about sort of like new age bloody purple energy plates and sort of.
I've always maintained that the correct response to this insane world is you're being sane to be sane in this world.
Yeah. And what I would say to skeptics, I don't think there's any skeptics listening at the moment, but what I would say to a skeptic is, would you stab a photograph of your loved ones with a knife? That's what I'd say to skeptics.
The horrible thing is some of them would do it, and then when their loved ones have an injury later on, they'd say, no, pure coincidence.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You can't
there's no correlation, there's no causation. No, it's just all random happenstance.
Don Docken's got a new name for us. It's Brit to Bong PM Radio. Coast to Coast. Our version.
This isn't just any nutcase. This is an M&S nutcase. You don't take drugs.
I don't take drugs. I drink red wine. That's it.
Well, Oscar, you don't take drugs, and yet you know about Damiana liqueur, which is not even something in my libertarian days did I. I mean, I smoked the stuff, but I never thought.
Oh, where you gone, Hobbit? Hello.
Powder. I'm tempted to make a tonic with that.
That stuff is good stuff. I've done it.
I think
I can say from experience.
I think my internet's on the turn, so
your internet rations run out.
Yeah, I think
Who give us a thumbs down? Who give us a thumbs down?
Do we have
That's
one
out of order.
Yeah,
We've got one thumbs down.
We usually do.
Is it for my smelly witches comment?
Own up.
Own up. Who was it? Right.
Come on.
Right.
Be a man and admit your grievances with us.
Right. That's it. We are done. I can't take any more. Night all.
Yeah, I know. Fuck me, that's 3 hours. Yeah, that's enough.